Test. Test. It wasn't. No.
Hang on. It is 6 o'clock, everybody, and folks are oh, sorry, it is, well, it's later than I thought. It's 6:30. People are still coming through the doors, but we will start in just a moment. Good evening. I'd like to call to order this evening's meeting of what is this, November 14th of the Saline Area Schools Board of Education. Standing as you are able, would you please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you, everybody. I'm going to turn this next portion over to Superintendent Lotch for some recognition.
Okay, thank you, President McVeigh. We are delighted tonight because we have two outstanding groups that we want to honor, and we're going to be starting with our marching band under the direction of Nate Lantman and Scott Cannell. The 187-member Saline High School Marching Band, you heard that right, 187-member. They just completed their fall season supporting the Saline High School football team and the Saline community. They had an outstanding season this fall that included 10 performances of their field show and a parade. The band performed at the Chelsea Marching Band Invitational Festival in September, where they received outstanding crowd response and comments from Dr. Pasquale, director of the University of Michigan Marching Band. In October, the band performed at the MSBOA Marching Band Festival at John Glenn High School, where they received superior ratings from each of the three judges and a score of A in every category of evaluation. The score represents the highest score possible at the festival. The Saline Marching Band is now preparing for their upcoming performances at the Saline Holiday Parade and Disney performance, where they will be performing for the world at Disney's Magic Kingdom on Saturday, December 9th at 5:45 p.m. So with that said, we'd like to welcome up Mr. Lantman will start and bring the entire marching band up, and we'd like you to Introduce yourselves at the microphone, and then we're going to take a picture with the Board of Education after.
Well, good evening, and first of all, thank you so much for this recognition. We appreciate it so much. My name is Nate Lantman, and I am the director of the marching band, and this is my 27th year doing it.
I am Yohei Kuroda. I am a sophomore at Saline High School, and I am one of the drum majors of the Saline Marching Band.
Hi, my name is Juliana Combs. I'm a senior this year at Saline High School, and I'm the other drum major of the high school, of the marching band, sorry.
Hi, my name is Marcus Stanish. I am a junior at Saline High School, and I'm a part of the equipment crew.
Hi, my name is Mariana Lemley, and I am also a senior at Saline High School, and I am the sousaphone section leader and the leader of the equipment crew.
Hi, my name is Sam Sickle. I am a junior at Saline High School as well as a Bellefonds squad leader.
Hi, my name is Holly Peevler. I'm in the equipment crew, and I'm a sophomore. I'm in the equipment crew, and I am in the equipment. Wait, I'm Holly Peevler. I am a sophomore at Saline High School. I am in the equipment crew, and I am a tenor saxophone squad leader.
I'm Erin Hudeman. I'm a senior, and I am the majorette captain.
Hi, I'm Kaden Maida. I'm a junior, and I'm the tenor saxophone section leader.
I'm Addie Verkirk. I'm a senior, and I'm the color guard section leader.
I'm Fiona Crawford. I'm a senior, and I'm the amazing alto saxophone section leader.
I'm Madeline Cutler. I'm a junior, and I'm the trombone section leader.
Hi, I'm Phoebe Huddleston. I'm a senior, and I am the piccolo section leader.
I'm Cadence Waldrop. I'm a senior, and I'm one of the clarinet section leaders.
I'm Brian Kim. I'm a senior, and I'm the other clarinet section leader.
Hello, I'm Will Winslow. I'm a senior, and I'm one of the drumline section leaders.
Hi, I'm Sarah Kahn. I'm a senior, and I'm the other drumline section leader.
I'm Rebecca Rummel. I'm a senior, and I'm the section leader of the mellophones.
I'm Alex Fisher. I'm a senior, and I'm one of the trumpet section leaders.
I'm Scott Cannell. I guess I'm a super senior. I've been an assistant director for 20 years with the marching band.
Okay, so we'd like to get the Board of Ed up over here for a picture.
I think our auditors might want to scoot aside.
Yeah, we might have to slide out for a second. Okay, next we have a one of our great athletic teams. We have our field hockey team and a number of representatives here from that. So we'd like you to step over into this area, and then I'm going to read about the accomplishments of this incredible team on behalf of Coach O'Connor and Coach Neeb. We have a group of 33 student athletes on both JV and varsity teams, and both teams had really successful seasons. The varsity record was 7 wins, 4 losses, 2 ties, and they were 3rd in the SEC conference, but 3rd in Division I. So what does that say? It says the SEC is the strongest division in field hockey, and therefore they're always up against the toughest competition. And so they made it to the semifinals again this year and lost to Pioneer, who eventually went on to win the state championship. They scored 39 goals in 18 games and had 13 different goal scorers. They had 8 seniors who led their team, and they had 3 all-conference awards and 1 all-state recipient. They also have a couple players going on to compete at the collegiate level. And they also have a team GPA of almost 3.7, which is an incredible student-athlete combination. Okay, so what we'd like you to do next, and Coach O'Connor, you can start and come up, and everybody's going to introduce themselves, say what their role is on the team. You could also say what class you are at school, and then everybody steps over here, and then we're going to take a picture of everyone with the Board of Ed after.
Okay, there we go. Hi, I'm Coach Sophia O'Connor. I've been the varsity coach for the past 3 years.
Hi, I'm Caroline Clark. I'm a senior, and I play forward and mid.
Hi, I'm Ella Talladay. I'm a senior, I'm a captain, and I'm a midfielder.
Hi, I'm Maddie Nishioka. I'm a senior captain and I play defense.
Hi, I'm Sage Boyce. I'm a senior and I play forward.
Hi, I'm Carly Puffpaff. I'm a junior and I play defensive mid.
Hi, I'm Olivia Puffpaff. I'm a freshman and I play defense.
Hi, I'm Casey Griffin. I'm a sophomore and I'm a forward.
Hi, I'm Claire Arvey. I'm a sophomore and I play midfield.
Hi, I'm Lola O'Connor. I'm a senior and I play defense.
Hi, I'm Lauren Miller. I'm a senior captain and I play forward.
Hi, I'm Elle Puffpaff and I'm a freshman and I play midfield.
Hi, I'm Holly Neeb, and I am the assistant coach. This is my 2nd year with the team.
Hi, I'm Bree Arvey, also an assistant coach, and also my 2nd year with the team.
Okay, great. We'll all head over for another picture.
I really appreciate that we are taking these opportunities to show a little recognition and appreciation for some of the outstanding efforts that our students are putting forth this year. Public comment time. A member of the public may address the board briefly for up to 3 minutes or request to be scheduled on the agenda of a future meeting. Please note that students will be given priority to speak on any topic. The first public participation portion of the meeting will be limited to 1/2 hour, 30 minutes, normally, and limited to agenda items. A second public participation portion will be offered at the end of the agenda to allow for any other comment. Individuals addressing the board should take into consideration rules of common courtesy. The public participation portion cannot be used to make personal attacks against a board member, a district employee, or a student. I have 2 on the list. That's it. They are both students, so they can speak on any topic they wish at this point. I'm going to call up Bella Rodriguez. And Bella, I don't know if you need to know the rules. You have 3 minutes, and when there's 30 seconds remaining, a yellow card will be held up. And just for those of you who are new to all this, the board will refrain from commenting or saying anything. Okay, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen of the board, thank you for providing me with this opportunity to address you today. My name is Bella Rodriguez, and I stand before you as a senior at the high school and also as a student who identifies as a white-passing Latina. I want to share with you a perspective that often goes unnoticed but is no less valid or impactful. Growing up, I navigated the complexities of being a white-passing Hispanic woman, a reality that has brought both unique experiences and significant challenges. While I may not face the same overt racism as some of my peers, the cuts of microaggressions and the pressure to conform to perceived notions of identity have been constant companions. In school, I've seen moments of discriminatory and hurtful behavior from students, but also watched as they didn't receive a lot of education about their behavior. I felt hurt and beaten down time and time again with the actions of my classmates. I've seen and felt the sting of racism not only directed towards me, but also towards my peers who don't share the privilege of passing. I've witnessed the impact of stereotyping, bias, and cultural insensitivity on their well-being and academic experience. Those experiences have left an immeasurable mark on my understanding of the world and my place within it. It's crucial to recognize that racism in any form is not only hurtful, but also has a profound impact on the educational environment. When students face discrimination, whether overt or subtle, it affects their mental health, their self-esteem, and their academic performance. It creates an atmosphere where learning becomes difficult and the promise of an inclusive education feels elusive. I implore the school board to consider the following: 1, diversity and inclusion education; 2, cultural competency training; 3, representation matters in curriculum, in faculty, in school leadership, in everything; and 4, an open dialogue with the students. In conclusion, I believe by acknowledging and addressing the nuanced experiences of students like me, we can work together to create a school environment that truly values diversity and inclusivity. I appreciate your time and consideration in taking steps towards a more equitable and supportive educational experience for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Bella. Aaliyah is next.
Hi, my name is Aaliyah Correo Taylor. I'm a junior at Saline High School. This is not my first time at these meetings. I've came and I've spoke out about the racism, and I've told you guys how we felt about the problems, and I think today would be a good time to come and tell you guys our solutions to many of the problems. As many have seen, the N-word with the ER was written on our school bathrooms, and not much investigation was done. It was erased without investigation. So BSU has had multiple meetings since, and we've also had admin at our meetings as well. We came up with a suggestion of change list together on Monday, and this is some of the stuff that we've talked about. More investigation into what the problem is, not just giving the discipline, but investigating the child, investigating the situation, and what is done with the situation would make students feel a lot more comfortable. Making it required to sign out of classes, and making sure they don't walk out with a pen. So when you're walking out of a class, make sure you sign out and put your time and your date. This is already required, but a lot of students don't do it, so we can do it off a computer so that the time is accurate. And so when it's time to investigate what is written on a wall and who did it, it is way more clear and easy to do it. Hiring the punishment and looking at the handbook, I think, is also very important. And BSU is very willing to work with the school board and the school. I'm also president of BSU, so if anybody wants to meet with me after, I'm more than willing to do that. Implying a zero tolerance rule and automatic 3 days of suspension, and 2 hours requirement of educational video on Edpuzzle, so you know that they're doing it, but so that they're also getting the proper education of what they did and why it's wrong, and not just receiving a punishment, sorry. Using Hornet time as well. We have Hornet time every Wednesdays for 30 minutes, and I think it would be a good time to talk about the rules, talk about why it's not okay, educate more, and take more time out of our days on Hornet time, because a lot of the people just use it for study hour, to make a change and to imply our new policies once they are implied into the handbook. Surveys, I think, would be really good, because I know it's not just black students at Saline High School who experience it. It is Latinas, it is Asians, it is Arabs, it is every race experiences something, and it's not just black students. So I think a survey sent out to different students so that you guys can see where the problem lies and where it's coming from. And also higher the punishment when it comes to vandalism. You're not only writing on a wall, but you're writing a racial slur. So you can receive 2 punishments for that, which students are not receiving. There's also higher punishment for if there is a vape found in your backpack. Students receive 10 days, 3 days, but they're not receiving that for saying a racial slur, a racial comment, or making students feel uncomfortable in a school building where they should be comfortable. So I think looking into the handbook and hiring the punishments and working with the punishments would be a very powerful thing. Nope, it's okay. Thank you. You're okay. I appreciate you for listening. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you timing that out. I think you stuck the landing. Thank you so much.
Hey, Michael, could I ask the ladies that presented? There were a lot of ideas, and I was trying to write very quickly. But if you have them written, could you email the board at sasboard@salineschools.org, because I would like to review it and reflect on it, not just in this moment. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Extended public comment period. Apparently there's someone named Teresa Stager, who is principal of Saline High School, in the audience this evening. There she is now. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for allowing me some time this evening to share some of the things that are happening at Saline High School. Trimester 1 is wrapping up this week, and we have exams starting on Friday and then again next week. I imagine you'll see more varsity jackets around Saline soon. Our fall athletes and our activities, just as the marching band you saw earlier, have completed their seasons, and many have earned varsity letters. So that'll be very exciting. Mr. Lampman celebrated his 175th halftime performance with the Saline marching band this year. 4 of our esports teams have clinched playoff spots in their first seasons. Our chamber choir was invited to perform with a handful of select choirs around the state at the MSU Choral Invitational on October 31st. The Students Against Racism Club is presenting to our SHS staff at tomorrow's staff meeting on the Clara technique for difficult conversations. Trunk or Treat Link Crew was the surprise that they put together, was a hit for the 9th grade students during lunches in October. The class of 2024 has begun planning commencement ceremonies, choosing their class flowers, motto, and quote, and they are placing orders for caps and gowns. The class of 2023 and their class advisors are putting the finishing touches on planning prom. The Friends of Rachel group is working on their first big school project, more details soon. Teachers are using AI to create more accessible lessons and readings for our English learners. Multiple staff members have taken student groups to leadership conferences, including FCCLA, FFA, DECA, Athletics, Link Crew. 3 of our students moved into the interview portion of the U.S. Youth Senate program. It's very exciting. Please be sure to look it up. It is very, very exciting for them. The PSAT NMSQT was taken online the first time in October. The 11th grade students had an average score of 1055, which is 45 points higher than the national average for 11th graders taking the same test. We are closing in on the final registration deadline for AP exams. We currently have 491 students in grades 9 through 12 registered for 880 AP exams, and we have 5 national merit semifinalists. Alongside all of the good news from Saline High School, we have also unfortunately seen an unsettling increase in hate speech, graffiti in student bathrooms, and we sent home a message to families to that effect this week. We do take steps to address these things immediately once they're brought to our attention and located. In addition to following up on reported incidents, we're taking additional steps to proactively check the bathrooms throughout the day. Due to student privacy concerns, no cameras in bathrooms, we may not be able to pinpoint a responsible party 100% of the time, but we are paying attention to trends and continue to follow all disciplinary guidelines when the individuals can be identified. This trend is not only disheartening, but goes against the core values of our school community. We also recognize the pivotal role families play in shaping the attitudes and behaviors of our students. So we kindly ask for the community support in this matter, and please take some time to talk with your child about these issues, discussing the importance of respect, empathy, and the impact of your actions on others. We recognize that any occurrence can be harmful to students, and every student should feel safe, secure, and valued at Saline High School. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. The revisions or approval of the agenda items can be added or deleted from the meeting agenda, and the order of items can be changed at the request of an individual board member or the superintendent. The agenda must be approved before proceeding further. Do we have any changes to the agenda?
I have one proposed item, please.
Yes, sir.
I would like to propose that we individualize the receive and file the human resources report under consent agenda.
All right, then we're going to pull that from the consent agenda, and then we will put it at the beginning of the consent agenda.
Thank you.
Okay, any other changes? Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, we have an agenda. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Michael, I just
yes.
wanted to clarify. So the request for the revision for the agenda was to move it to item 1, not to pull it from the consent agenda for discussion?
I do not wish to pull it. I just wish to be able to engage in any discussion that we might have or comment.
So it means pulling it from the consent agenda, not moving it to place number 1. It means moving it to a discussion item or vote,
Are we
right?
talking about the use of the word pull? We're going to take item G out of the consent agenda and treat it separately as an item for discussion, correct, Brad? Is
That would satisfy me. That is
For
fine.
discussion or vote?
I would still
Action or discussion?
I would still
Action.
see it as a potential action item. Like, I just would like to have
Okay.
discussion and then action.
Okay, I didn't vote because I wanted that clarified.
All right.
Okay.
So actually, we did not have a motion and a second. Let's go back and do that, shall we? I got so excited. Let's go back to the agenda, please. Do we have someone to, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the agenda as revised.
I'll make that motion. Miller.
Miller, thank you.
Second, Stebbins?
Stebbins, seconds. We've had a brief discussion about that. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, thank you. That would be 6-0 then. Thank you. We're missing one this evening. Student Showcase. This is a magical time. This evening I'd like to introduce you to the Woodland Meadows Safeties and Student Leadership. Oh my gosh, here they come through the doors. Come on in, everybody. Did I not say Woodland Meadows? That's right. I said Woodland Meadows, right? Like,
Is the stool there? Oh, yeah. Oh, we need a stool.
we had one. Used to have one.
We have a stool. Yeah, it's there.
Oh.
Okay, right there we go.
Or a shorter podium.
Click that green.
Let's go.
Oh, you gotta.
Will you touch the button?
Thanks.
Thank you.
In fact, we might not even need this thing. What do you think? Let's just move it aside, okay? And right there, then everyone, then we can all see you. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Charlie Hendricks.
And I'm Molly Dula.
We are both third graders at Woodland Meadows Elementary.
And we were both part of the student leadership team.
We're excited to share our information with you. We have 8 students representing our 17-member team tonight.
Before we get started, we would like to introduce the rest of our team. My name is Colette Rowe.
My name is C.D. Burnett. My name is Marty Swartz.
My name is Natalie Moyer.
My name is Charlotte Brewski.
And I'm Laura Pasiak.
We have two staff representatives for the student leadership team. Those are Mr. Pelletier and Mrs. Petrus. We also have 2 representatives for Safety Patrol, Mr. Pelletier and Mrs. Grunis.
There is an application process for both leadership and safeties. Each interest student completes an application. The teacher reps look over the application and get teacher feedback and recommendations.
Students need to demonstrate the 3 B's in good attendance. This year we had 50 applications for leadership and 17 students were chosen.
In my role as president, I help run and organize our meetings. As vice president, I support our president in organizing our meetings and leading the rest of our team. As secretary, I keep track of attendance and all the details from each meeting. The school leadership team partners with the PTA. Some of the events that we plan for the school are Harvest Bingo, Gingerbread House Decorating Night, Kindergarten and Young Five Spring Open House, and Coat Drive. The support from our PTA goes a long way in making sure that our student leadership team is successful. In addition to working with the PTA, the leadership team also sponsors and supports events on our own. Some of the other things we do in our school includes presenting at the community meetings, representing the team at the information tables for parent-teacher conferences, planning and sharing about Kindness Week, and coordinating the snack drive for Saline Social Services. If a student is interested in being a safety, they fill out an application. Mr. Pelletier and Mrs. Gurnis select about 20 safeties per trimester, and these students rotate throughout the year. This school year is the first time Woodland Meadows has both morning and afternoon safeties because of the high interest in being a safety. The morning safeties welcome students into the building and make sure they are following the 3 B's. Before afternoon safeties work to assure that students get where they need to go safely at the end of the day. For bus safeties, your job is to keep everyone safe in the bus lines as we walk to the bus. For door safeties, your job is to hold the doors for students coming out in and out of Woodland. For hallway safeties, your job is to make sure everyone is safe in the hallways and following the 3 B's.
Thank you, Board of Education members, for inviting us to speak with you tonight.
Wait. Don't sit down yet. There might be a question or two. Mr. Pelletier, there may be a question or two. I was just going to say, last week I was on a couple of tours of Woodland Meadows, and at the end of the day, I looked over my shoulder, and there was this line of young people wearing the green things. I said, who are those cool people? And they said, those are our safeties, the safety patrol. Exactly. I was so proud of you right then. You're the teachers' extra eyes and ears out there, and we really, really appreciate it. Other people on the board may have a question or two for you. You might want to step a little closer so we can all see you. Because poor Trustee Gerby over there didn't get a chance to see you. Oh, okay. Thank you. Does the rest of the board have any questions of this crack team of safeties and leaders? Comments, please.
I'll do a comment. First of all, I'm very impressed by your public speaking skills, and I know it's not always easy to get up in front of a large room with these microphones, so you did a great job. And I also really like PTAs, so I appreciate that you work with your PTA because it's great to work with people as a team. So good job.
Hi, I have 2 kiddos at Woodland Meadows, and actually I think you've helped me stop one of my young ones from young 5s running out the door. Yeah. Or into the door from the bus, the bus of the front pickup. So I thank you all for supporting the little ones and being true leaders in your school. Thank you.
Secretary Miller.
First, I wanted to just thank Mrs. Petros and Mr. Pelletier, because when I was at Woodland Meadows, we had safeties, but we didn't have student leadership. So I think that this is a really wonderful way to highlight student leadership and grow and develop those kiddos into the potential that they have, and also to honor student voice in some of the activities and decisions that are being made. And so I just really appreciate that. Of course, I appreciate the safeties, because there can never be enough safety. So I appreciate the work that you're doing, especially for the first trimester. The kids who were safeties really had a big job in this first part of the school year, because the kindergartners and the young fives kids didn't know where to go or how to get from one place to another. So I'm sure that it was extra helpful to have all of you in the role that you were serving. I wonder if you listed a bunch of activities that you participate in. Is there anything new that you're developing that you want to tell us about?
They're all looking at us.
Well, let me give you a hint. Is Kindness Week new? Can you tell us more about that? Who can tell us what Kindness Week might be?
What they did last year. So the trouble with student council, not trouble, but we have a brand new batch every year. So they're all new. So they may have known what we did last year on for Kindness Week. Do you remember, Molly? Do you want to talk about it? You remember too? Okay, you guys can share. Go ahead, Molly.
So every day for a week during Valentine's, week, we usually wear red and pink on the first day. We write a note on a heart and stick it on someone's locker.
It's basically it's for the whole week. It's kind of like a spirit week, but it's all related to kindness and kind of like Valentine's Day. Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate that, and I'm kind of sad. The third graders are the oldest kids at Woodland Meadows, and I don't know these kids because I've been gone long enough now that I recognized some of you when I said, do I know any of these kids, to Mr. Pelletier and Mrs. Petros, and they told me some last names, and I was like, oh, I remember when some of you were born. So thank you for coming and for all the work that you're doing at Woodland Meadows. It's appreciated here, and I know it's appreciated at your school too. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, everyone. Is that it? Oh, please.
I remember being a part of Safety Patrol at Harvest when I was in third grade. That was a lot of fun. I have one question. What is one of you guys' favorite parts about Safety Patrol? Any memories or anything you remember doing that helped out? That was good.
Probably seeing the smiles on their faces at the end of the day because they're excited to go home. Can I go? Yeah. Probably getting to know them from holding the door or doing whatever role.
I'm a bus safety, and I love hanging out with the kids. I greet almost all of them every single day, and they have this group of kids. And sometimes when I'm at my post and I have a little bit of time, we always play a quick game or something. And I love seeing the smiles and bonding with them.
One thing that I think is funny about sometimes when I'm a safety is I hold third grade doors, and sometimes people in my class say, "Are you a safety?"
Well, thank you. Thank you all so much. If I'm ever at Woodland Meadows again and I get turned around or a little confused, I will look for somebody wearing the green thing and I'll ask for help. Thank you so much for being a helper. Thank you. Sorry, Plant Moran. Good luck. You're after them. But we have a rather important scheduled report. Plant Moran, Jeff Higgins' partner, and will be introducing his partner.
Don't need the stool. Yeah. Not anymore.
Not anymore, not since.
Well, thank you and good evening. And yes, that's a hard act to follow. But
Tell you.
we'll do our best to make the audit report as exciting as we possibly can. So again, my name is Jeff Higgins. I'm a partner with Plant Moran, and with me is Renee Epser, who's a manager on the account. And we are here tonight to present the results of the district's financial statement audit for the year ended June 30th, 2023. So there's 3 documents that come out of the audit process. So there's the financial report with supplemental information, which contains the district's audited financial statement. There's the federal award supplemental information, which contains our separate audit of the federal programs administered by the district. And finally, there's the report to the Board of Education, which provides information on the audit process and results. So this first slide here essentially we can go back one. So again, it's our jobs as the district's independent auditors to express an opinion on the financial statements of the district based on our audit, which is conducted in accordance with auditing standards generally accepted in the United States of America. I'm pleased to report here tonight that based on the results of our audit procedures, we've rendered what's called an unmodified or a clean opinion on the district's financial statements. This is the highest level of assurance that we can provide on a set of financial statements. And so we're going to go through some of the highlights, the financial highlights of the district, and we're going to focus on the general fund. So the activities of the district are recorded in various different funds to show the particular expenditures are related to specific revenue sources, but the general fund represents the primary operating fund of the district. And with that, we will start with the general fund balance sheet.
Yep, so this slide represents a snapshot in time of the balances as of June 30th, 2023 and prior year 2022. So the first section that you have there is the assets of the district, which primarily consists of $13.9 million in cash and investments, and then $13.5 million in receivables. The next section there is the liabilities, which that is made up primarily of accrued wages and benefits for employees who are paid during July and August. And then the difference between your assets and your liabilities represents a fund balance there of $15.6 million. And then these graphs present the total general fund revenue of the district for 2023 on the left and then 2022 on the right. For 2023 is approximately $78.7 million of revenue. That's made up primarily by state revenue, which was $54 million, or about 69% of revenue. This is set by the state and is driven primarily by pupil count. The remaining revenue relates to interdistrict sources and then federal and local sources. And then on these slides, we have now the total expenditures of the general fund, and that's classified according to their object category. So the district had total expenditures of $73.6 million for fiscal year 23. And then salaries and wages make up the biggest pie of that graph, which is expected year over year.
So now that we've looked at some of the expenditure detail, we've provided a little bit of benchmarking data here, and I recognize this is somewhat difficult to see, but essentially this report's for June 30th, 2022, which is the last year which full data is available, and it compares the instructional expenditures compared to total operating expenses per pupil for Saline compared to some of the surrounding districts. So for example, you can see that for Saline, for the year ended June 30th, 2022, that percentage was roughly 63%. And again, if you look at some of your surrounding districts in the county as a whole, certainly Saline compares very favorably with a greater percentage of expenditures going directly into the classroom. The next slide, we take a look at the several year history for essentially the net income of the district. This is the history of the general fund revenue over or under expenditures. You can see going back from 2017 to today. So for several years, it was essentially at that break-even level. And then beginning in 2020, 2021, 2022, and then again 2023, there was essentially a positive net income, if you will. So for 2023, again, the total revenue is about $78.6 million. Total expenditure is about $73.6 million for a total addition of $5 million. And then that excess then goes into the general fund balance, and we look at that on the next slide. This slide presents a several-year history of the fund balance of the district, and then it compares that to the state average fund balance. So again, fund balance represents the assets less the liabilities of the district. It's essentially the historical results of the general fund. And really the fund balance represents the financial reserves of the district. It allows the district to plan for unplanned expenses, and it insulates the district against any unexpected revenue losses or funding instability. So really it's a critical component for managing the district's finances, and it really provides that financial cushion to deal with financial uncertainty. So it is a key metric that's viewed at by various sources when looking at the financial strength of a district, if you will. So the question is, what is an adequate or a reasonable level of fund balance? So fund balance is generally assessed as a percentage of your expenditures. So for example, for June 30th, 2023, if you take your total fund balance, about $15.6 million, divide that by your expenditures of roughly $73 million, that gives you about 21.2%. And you can see how the district has compared to the statewide average. Though, again, the most recent information that's available is the state average for June 30th, 2022, where that state average was about 19.2%. Just anecdotally, based on how we're seeing results come in, I would expect that percentage to creep up a little bit. So I would expect that as of June 30th, 2023, Saline would be right at or maybe perhaps a little bit above the state average fund balance percentage. And a way to put that into perspective is, again, $15.6 million it's a significant sum, but if you put it in the context of your overall budget, it effectively represents roughly 2.5 months of operating costs. So if for some reason your funding stopped, the district would essentially be able to operate for about 2.5 months. Another way to look at that, if someone who has a $100,000 budget, that would equal savings of roughly $20,000. So again, just to put into context what some of these numbers mean, what level is typically, kind of the statewide average, and give you some context of what, fund balance is compared to other districts throughout the state. So that is again, a quick summary of the results for June 30th, 2023. If there's any comments or questions, we'd be happy to address those tonight.
I'd like to just make a quick statement. We just appreciate the partnership with Plant Moran and all the guidance you've provided us over the years. And I also want to thank Assistant Superintendent Owsley, because you only get a clean audit if you have a great Assistant Superintendent of Finance. So thank you, Miranda.
Treasurer Gerby, you may have a question or two.
I just have a couple of things. So number one, obviously from the treasurer's standpoint, a clean audit is entirely music to my ears. So again, I echo those thanks, and as part of my personal comments at the end, don't worry, I'll end up stating those things. So I appreciate the fact that we had no difficulties with the process. As treasurer, it always kind of amazes me when I am required to have a conversation with Jeff at the start of the process, and it's always kind of funny for me because, like, of course, I have the great, we have incredible finance people. I will never suspect fraud or any of that kind of stuff. But it's funny, like, that the state is, like, required because of Enron to, like, ask me that question. So I'm sorry if I chuckle on the phone every time with you, Jeff. But it's just kind of funny to me. But anyway, so. I will make one quick other comment, and then I will have some things in my discussion of later on under finance. But slide number 6, I will point out for me, is an incredible point of pride. I'm glad you stress it. I'm glad that you go over that, and that is that, our money is spent on our kids, and our money is spent on our students, and it's a significant thing. And that has been a trend of the Saline Area Schools, and I, as the treasurer, and as the person who leads the team, I have to admit how incredibly proud it makes me to be able to say that we spend our money on kids. So thank you for affirming that. I appreciate it.
Other questions? The rest of the team? Well, thank you very much for an excellent presentation, and I hope we never have to have a deeper conversation about why it wasn't clean. But I'm delighted to hear that. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, thank you. And yes, we do also want to thank Ms. Owsley and the entire business office staff. The audit is a very in-depth, detailed, grueling process from their perspective, I have no doubt, and we do appreciate all the help and cooperation and assistance we get, and again, a very clean audit process, and so thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. We have a report, an update on the bond from Rex Clary, Director of Operations. And team. Oh, here they are.
Yes, good evening, and thank you for allowing me to present tonight. Tonight I brought Amoresco as energy partners, as well as Mark from Locoli Planners to present. I'll let them introduce themselves.
Good evening. My name is Andrew Hasher. I'm with Amoresco.
I'm Will Litwin, Regional Director with Amoresco.
Mark Paulos with Locoli Planners.
So over the last few years, I've worked with Andrew, and we've talked at numerous MSBO conferences and facility outings and stuff like that. And you know, we've talked about renewable projects and sustainable projects, and we just haven't been able to get on the same page and found one that was really had the right return on investment and was a good fit for Saline area schools. Well, I think we finally found one. So we'd like to present that to you tonight, and I'm going to let Andrew start with some slides.
It's not working.
Okay.
No worries, no worries. Well, good evening. Again, my name is Andrew Hasher. I'm an account executive with Amoresco, based out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. And the one thing I always tell my boss, being a Michigander, is you're basically one person removed from knowing everybody in the state, right? So I nudged him during the Woodland Meadows safeties presentation, and one of the little gals is is the daughter of a good coworker of mine that I used to have at DTE. So I texted him. He's like, "What are you doing in Saline?" So again, I proved my point, right? So today I want to talk about some of the conversations and a lot of the work that Rex and Miranda and Mark from Locoli, the work we've been putting in to really understand, you know, what type of opportunities there are for Saline to integrate solar into your district. So I'm going to give you a quick preview, or I guess debrief of who Amoresco is, what we do, so you can get a little flavor of how we kind of go about things. I'll run through a few different examples of some of the projects that we've done, more specifically around the solar landscape. And then I'm really going to talk about more towards the end is the project that we've reviewed and proposed and worked with Rex and team to really position solar within Saline District. So the first slide, who is Amoresco? So we're a clean tech energy solutions provider. We were founded in 2000, so we've been around for about 23 years. We're a national organization. We have branches essentially across the whole entire United States, and for that matter, a lot more that's kind of going into the national or the international landscape. So you're looking at the UK, the EU, that sort of thing. So across our portfolio, we focus on clean tech integration. So energy efficiency, solar, renewables, geothermal type applications, all the way to batteries, and eventually we're going to see a lot of hydrogen. So you can kind of see the landscape of how big we are. I think we're actually closer to 1,500 national employees throughout our footprint. So you could slide down to the next one if you would. So my team is the Smart Building Solutions organization. We're a division under Amoresco based in, unfortunately, the state to the south of here. So I'll just leave it at that. But we're based out of the Columbus region, where we have a team of energy engineers, project managers, and a lot of our organization that sits in that office there, but spread out across Michigan and Ohio to support our projects. I'll have you scroll down a little bit more to the next slide, please. So just kind of one of the slides to show you the recognition that we've received over the years throughout the industry. You know, we do a lot of solar projects across the United States. We've been awarded top solar contractors numerous times. We've been given the Cleanie Awards from a lot of different industry associations. So this is just to showcase a lot of the recognition that we've got just from the work that we've done across the industries. Those industries, a lot of it is the public sector. So we do a lot of K-12 work. We work with a lot of higher ed. We work with a lot of local city government throughout the states. And it really shows the depth and breadth of the different opportunities that we look forward to. Next slide, please. This really just kind of gives you a more granular look at the different types of solutions that we implement and help support our customers. from the energy efficiency side, you work from the smart building controls, you look at HVAC and ventilation, all the way into, LED lighting across the district. Distributed generation, that's why we're here today, to talk about solar, talk about how we can help integrate that into your district. And then as you kind of work through the different buckets, you can kind of see some of the different areas that our organization works within. Next slide, please. The next few slides are just really going to showcase the different types of solar projects we've done across the United States. I really wanted to just show ones that relate a little bit better to the type of installation that we're proposing here at Saline, which is going to be a roof integrated project. But when you look at some of the projects started in California, you're talking about 1.6 megawatts of both carport solar across a hospital campus in Sonoma County. If you scroll down to the next slide, you'll see a large project that we did across the nation with Wells Fargo. They had multiple locations across the United States where we helped implement over 30 megawatts of solar, ranging from carport solar, top of parking structures, and also the rooftop solar that we're talking about this evening. The last two slides for kind of the solar projects, another financial institution, Bank of America. This was a large project that helped them reduce about 5,000 metric tons of CO2, integrated solar carports, a lot of different EV charging infrastructure, and it helped offset about 60% of annual reduction, which is tremendous. And then the final one, this is the one I like to kind of not brag a little bit about, but showcase, because this is really cool. Canada's first net zero school to be implemented. This is a project that my team in Ontario were able to be a part of, but it just kind of shows you what it takes to become net zero, right? You have to have geothermal, you have to have solar, a lot of energy efficiency, a lot of batteries and the like. So it really brings a lot of different technologies in together, but that's something that we love to do, and just integrate different types of technologies in a customized solution to make sure it fits the customer that we're working with. So let's talk about solar specifically for public K-12. Now you roll to the next slide as well. So late summer last year, in August, believe it or not, well, it's over a year now, the Inflation Reduction Act was passed and signed into law. So the name of the act is kind of a misnomer for what's really why we're here today, is all of the large energy incentives that are going to become available to integrate clean technologies throughout our country. So batteries, solar, geothermal, eventually hydrogen, a lot of dollars are going to flow from the federal government down to the local level to help implement different types of technologies that we've been working to do for a long, long time. So one of the major bullets on the top part is, over time we've had what they call the investment tax credit. Essentially, the investment tax credit was an incentive for the profit sector. Those that have a tax base or an appetite can leverage those tax credits to make solar technologies become more economical, right, to put in. Look at the financial sense. Well, the Inflation Reduction Act took that ITC, investment tax credit, and allowed it to become what they call a direct pay provision. So the direct pay provision now takes the value of that ITC, which is 30% as a baseline, and turns that into a direct payment for the nonprofit sector. So ultimately, schools, governments, other nonprofits can now take advantage of this incentive to help support projects that they want to implement across their district. So another great aspect of the incentive for this is, depending on how you integrate solar into your project, there may be a way to maximize that even further. So when you talk about the third bullet, and I think you went a little bit too far, which is fine, because we're just going to go to the next slide here. They're kind of common points on each one. But one of the ways that we have been utilizing the ITC to maximize the for-profit sector for years is by integrating roofing and solar at the same time. So if you're looking at replacing a roof or have a major repair need at a facility of yours, that is the ideal time to, one, integrate solar for financial aspects and also for the structural integrity of that roof for that facility. We don't want to get in the habit of putting solar on a roof and making Rex's job a complete nightmare because you have leaks and other things going on. So when Rex and I have talked over the years, it was, hey, we're going to be replacing our roofs in the next few summers. Now is the time to really dig into this. So the moment we take the solar and we integrate the roofing at the same time, that 30% ITC is now able to go across the roofing costs as well. So those dollars that you've already been approved and the community supported to pay for roofs are now eligible for that rebate as well, based off how we design that integration. So after having those conversations, doing our due diligence with Rex and team, we ultimately agreed that it makes sense to go to that next step. Let's dig deeper. Let's understand what those numbers look like. Let's make sure this makes sense. So we entered into what we call letter of intent this past October to really assess everything a lot further. We got Mark and your roofing consultant to really dig in, look at the quality and the structure of your roofing, and then understanding how it would look to integrate solar. We looked at what it was going to take to maximize those grants and those incentives based off the timelines that are proposed by the IRS. And we basically put out some success metrics, that's a tough word to say, that really shows how we can maximize the roof, what's the most amount of solar that we could integrate, and also make it financially stable for the district as well. So we took those on, and then we're here to kind of present that next step, is where the next few slides are laid out here. So you can take that to page 17. So you can go ahead a few. I'm sorry. I'm looking at my paper. I'm just looking at the screen. So this one's a little dense, but really what it does is it showcases the existing conditions, right? We knew that the district had proposed roofing replacements for both the middle school and the high school in the near term. We took and understood what it was going to take to do those at a high level, just the replacement, and then what it was going to do to pair those two technologies together. So when you look at the key results of what we came out to set, or what we set out to meet, we've definitely met those and then some. So you can see the total size between the two buildings. You can look at the overall cost of what those two systems would take to integrate. And then what you also see is the proposed offset utility consumption. So for the high school and Harvest, since they are integrated into one utility meter, you'll see about a 19% offset in your energy needs for that building. And then the middle school, because it's under 1 meter, would be about a 43% offset for the solar generation. So you can kind of see the breakdown in the bottom chart of the different key components of that system. The overall incentives that you're going to see from the federal tax ITC credit that we talked about, which is about $3.7 million back in the direct form of a direct check to the district. And then you can also see the annual savings that you'll see is about $250,000 a year in energy savings. You can go to the next slide, please. I want to hijack the whole meeting. So this is a up-to-date current layout of the solar that we're proposing at both the middle school on the left and the high school on the right. We've had both our design team on site, roofing consultant on site, to really understand, one, where can solar be placed, what makes best sense for having great exposure to the sunlight, and then how can we integrate that based off the material type that currently exists. So based off the way the design works and the models work, these are the layouts that we're proposing to date for both the schools. So last couple of pages here. One of the things that working with Rex and team we wanted to do is make sure that we have a flexible structure and schedule. Working with the local roofing contractors to understand what type of schedule is needed to make sure that these projects get done, in a timely manner, but also with the quality in mind. We don't want to rush this type of project. So we really wanted to spread this out over, one summer per building, or potentially two, depending on how we get the feedback from the market. So that's going to be part of the next steps here we'll talk about in a minute. But that's really what this proposed flexible schedule is going to do for both the middle school and high school. If you can go on to the next slide. And this kind of shows the structure that we're going to take on to basically help support that flexible metric. So you've got the middle school that's going to happen in 24 is the proposed schedule, potentially into 25. It needs to bleed over based off of resource constraints. And then also then the high school would be in that 25, 26, depending on how the middle school goes through. So those top two lines are showcasing what it takes for design and material, what the installation and labor will cost once we go out to the market and bid those out, and then what our estimated project total is going to be for each specific building. What you can see in the bottom two rows is basically if we are going to extend these projects out into 2 years per building, We just allow for some professional service for us to keep working through project management, different type of procurement methods and that sort of thing that need to take place in later years. So that's kind of what this chart is showcasing you here. And so next steps, and Rex, I don't know if this is how you want to transition.
So this project started back in January. We actually met in August to try to, our first goal was to put solar, if you remember, on the operations center. We quickly realized that without an electric bus in our fleet yet, the solar on the operations center will not produce enough power we'll have excess power during the summer. And to sell it back, to have it installed, a cost, to sell it back to the DTE for pennies on the dollar didn't make sense. So we quickly pivoted to how can we use that funds to put it into the schools and really pay off for the schools and the rebate on the roofing. And so I think this is just a win-win for the school district and the community. Our next steps will be, we're currently going to put, the bids will go out next week? Yes. Next week for roofing. Solar panels will be purchased through a cooperative, and Amoresco is how we'll purchase those solar panels for this project. And that will ensure timely delivery so we can have them ready for next summer. Next month, we'll present those bids to the board for approval. And at that time, we'll present those bids, but we'll also need to issue a action item for a down payment as well. We do have to put a certain amount of, roughly 7 to 10% of funds for this project in order to ensure that 26 to 30% rebate, that $3.7 million that we will receive back. About the roofing, we're within budget of our bond budget. Because we did a full tear off, we had it estimated as a full replacement. This will be a coating and replacement where needed. The middle school has some areas that we will do a full tear off and replacement, but most of it will be a membrane type roof with a reflective coating. Am I saying that right? Yes. Mm-hmm. And it will allow that's needed. But it's a Michigan. It could be a Michigan-based product, which also could increase our incentive. And where was I going to go with that last point? I can't remember right now, but anyways. And yeah.
Do you want me to explain the timing a little bit? I didn't cover that. So one of the key components of why we're talking about basically implementing or kind of getting things moving next month, and why Rex asked for that approval, is within that Inflation Reduction Act, there's phase outs that take place when it comes to the incentive value that they're putting out there. So the investment tax credit allows for the direct pay provision to give you 30% of the value of the project. Starting in 2024, if you cannot meet the domestic content requirements of the investment tax credit or of the project, then it gives you a haircut on that incentive. So instead of the 26%, it'd be down to like 23-ish%, depending on how those numbers work out. So we know right now with the current market and how panels are manufactured, it's very hard to get domestic equipment in the United States right now. So that's the reason for us to source that now. We can leverage what they call a safe harbor provision within the IRS. It allows us to basically call the project commencing in 2023. It meets that, and then it allows you to have continuous progress or continuous construction over up to a 4-year period. And that's how we can get the projects at both the middle school and high school done, but then get the incentives based off 23 values.
What he said.
We can talk more.
And is that the last slide then?
Yeah.
Okay, question. Mark? Brian? No. Questions?
Well, we probably all have a few questions. If you can't answer them promptly or right off the top of your head, let's just keep a little list of them.
Okay.
All right, so Ms. Miller.
Okay. First of all, thanks for coming and for sharing your knowledge with us tonight, but also for working collaboratively with our rock star, Mr. Clary. So I just, a couple of things that I had noticed, but then also a question. I really like the sound of a $3.7 million check coming back to us. So I appreciate that. And that made me think, I know you mentioned the operations center, but as we continue forward with the bond and we're adding additions or new structures to our current buildings, will we be able to consider this type of energy efficiency with those new facilities?
We will not, yes, we can, but we will not get the rebate with
It
the
won't be the
roofing
same.
piece. So the roofing, we were built in the bond to add solar, and we were built into the bond. We told the voters we were gonna replace roofs at the high school and middle school.
Mhm.
So this kinda puts them together and allows us to get a rebate back from the IRS.
Okay, so even though the bond includes like the building of those new structures, we couldn't change it to include solar? They're not big enough. Okay, that's what I was wondering. Okay.
And the
Yeah.
return on investment on solar, if you're not, your return on investment, because we won't be doing it with roofing,
Mm-hmm.
that's what I was gonna say. So the new roofs will come with 25-year warranties. The
Nice,
panels will
okay.
have 25-year warranties.
Okay.
So this will be, they'll end of life will be at the same time, roughly.
Okay, all right. I had another question, but I can't remember it either. It must
And
be
we
going
are gonna
around.
we are gonna submit, for the next round 3 of electric buses.
Mhm.
We have a meeting this week
Mhm.
to talk about that and to get that application submitted. We're putting infrastructure in, but we do not yet have a charging system or an electric bus.
Right,
available.
okay.
And so, but we do have all the infrastructure in place to move forward with that.
Down the road, potentially. Perfect.
Correct. When-
Okay, that's great. Thanks for the information. I appreciate it.
Well, I was listening to you. I heard, first of all, you talked about the John Paul II school in London, Ontario, which sounds pretty, well, yeah, I go to London every week or so to visit my mother, and that school is about 2 miles away. So I'm going to pop in and take a little look around. Well,
We'll get you a little tour if you need.
Yeah, we can reach out to our counterpart.
I'm totally going to go. Yes, right. Now, you mentioned, of course, geothermal. Did you just say A? You mentioned geothermal, and you mentioned batteries, which got me thinking, I know we're not going to do the geothermal here, but does this whole price include batteries for, no? So this will only be active during the day, so to speak. That's the only time we're taking the juice, so to speak. And we're not selling it back because that's not part of the offset.
Yeah, we try to make sure that we maximize the solar, but then don't over generate so that you have to have a risk of sell back to the utility, or then you get pennies on the dollar. So we try to make that as clean as possible.
So no batteries then?
If we go to when we go to batteries, we'll have buses and we'll actually sell that energy back during the summer when it makes sense to do so.
So our batteries will be on wheels, in effect?
When it becomes logical, it makes sense to do that, dollars and cents wise.
Super. The next question I have is about the roofers that you have in mind. Was it Mark? Mark and I were talking from the Coal Planners earlier about when we brought this up about 8 years ago. It seemed not feasible, but now the technology is more feasible for our roofs. Could you elaborate on that just a bit?
Yeah, I would say with the structure itself and the weight of what we've evaluated, that the solar itself is, can be placed on the roofs at the middle school and the high school. And I'll say both roofs are a little bit different in regards to the composite and the structure, but we've identified different ways so they secure properly, so we don't have any failures on that.
That's why the middle school looked a little smattery. It wasn't a full mass of panels.
That's correct.
Okay. But regarding the roofers who are going to be working with you, do they need any specialized training to accommodate for the eventual inclusion, or is this going to be doing them both at the same time, updating the roof and fixing the solar
Right.
panels?
As part of the roofing package itself, there'll be brackets that the roofer will install as part of the installation to give it the secure to the structure itself, so we don't have structural failure. And these are all becoming more commonplace for them to do. These are not extremely sophisticated attachments to allow that to happen. And with Andrew's crew, we'll be working directly with them. So in our bid package, we'll have the brackets included for the roofer to take care of. And the roofing itself, as Rex mentioned, is very similar product that all the roofers are familiar with, and we're very confident that you know, with the 25-year warranty, that ultimately you want to make sure you're watertight and protect your infrastructure investment.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Anyone else on the panel? Oh, Susan?
Yeah, I was going to ask the bus thing, but you covered it. Thank you. I'm super excited about this and being a responsible, school district and community, environmental-wise. And I'm excited about the possibilities of getting our educators excited and having our students, maybe engaging in what that solar energy means. And so, anyways, thank you.
We already talked about dashboards, so for the students.
So first of all, I want to express my also excitement for this. I really appreciate the integrated processes that are here, right? And that's a big part for me, right? Because I feel like those are dollars we save, and obviously that's important from a treasurer standpoint. Jenny, you got me thinking, or Trustee Miller got me thinking, because we are going to generate some money through this, and because some of the things were done with bond dollars, do those dollars stay in the bond account or amount, or do those become general fund dollars for general use?
The rebate, Miranda can correct me if I'm wrong, the rebate will come back into the bond dollars and will be resourced for other projects in the bond application. The dollars are less than your general fund, so it's direct savings in the general fund for our utility bill.
So it's like cost avoidance a bit, as much as it is actually putting funds back in addition.
Correct.
Okay, that's fine. All right, and I think that's good stewardship too. All right, and then the 25-year warranty kind of takes away a little bit of my question, but with regards to the roofs and what have you, the solar piece and the roofs themselves, I don't know enough about this, the solar does not cause a greater depreciation of the roof itself. Is that correct? It doesn't mess with the structural integrity or any of those things?
No, it will not.
Okay, I just wanted to hear you say it.
Hopefully I hit that out of the ballpark.
Please, Jennifer.
Just really quickly, I just wanted to let you know that I appreciated the creative solutioning and partnership. The offset numbers are amazing, and I'm excited about this project, and I think Rex should be invited to the finance team.
Great.
I'll sign him up.
Glad to join.
Thank you all very much. I think that's it. Right. Thank you all very much. I appreciate your time
Thank you.
and expertise. Thank you. We have a few action items this evening.
Wait, one more.
There's more, but wait, there's more.
Yeah, we're all set.
Oh my gosh, you've been a busy guy.
Yep.
I'm sorry, my apologies.
Yeah, I just want to give you a bond update for as far as what we're working with King, Scott, and Clark Construction. Last week we issued documents and bidding documents and construction documents for the playgrounds, the Harvest parking lot, middle school and the middle school connecting piece. So I just wanted to go through those real quick. What did I do? Nope, it's red. My bad. Here we go. All right. So this is the Harvest parking lot. It's out for bid now. It'll be planned for this summer. As you can see, we did I think we did 6 or 8 designs. We landed on 2 designs of each side. We had an exceptional design. We had the budget done. After we got the budget, we came back and we cut about another $800,000 off of it to get it in budget. But what you've seen here, we've separated the buses from the parents in the A lot, or the west parking lot. Created another drop-off area on that side as well. And then on the north lot, where most of the Harvest parents come in the morning, they arrive from the north and of the east. We've allowed for more stacking or queuing on campus with a protected drop-off there. There'll be elevated crosswalks in that area as well for the students. And then we also added the turnaround in the back of right now we do not have a turnaround, so the garbage trucks or food deliveries have to back all the way out to the front of the building. We've added a space for them to turn around. It also shows the new playground features. Along with this product, we've done the middle school connector. This will happen next summer as well. We'll be eliminating the exits from the front loop as well as the entrance from the front loop. I'm working right now with the city engineer, Tesha, Colleen, as well as Larry Searles, DPW. Jeff Fordyce, before he left, he and I worked on getting funding for a new stoplight. We're actually going to have a new stoplight in the summer of 2025 at this intersection here on Maple Road. So this is Maple Road. This is the far east pod of the middle school. Which where the library? Yes, yes. That'd be east, that'd be south. Okay. South. But yes, library. Normally this road would come this way, and there'd be an entrance in here to connect. So one of our problems is we don't have enough stacking ability, so traffic spills out on the Maple Road, both right turns and left turns in the afternoon and in the morning, which causes a very dangerous intersection at this point. It also stops traffic and allows people to pass in the middle lane. So if we stack them on campus with the intent that they can either go around the loop and drop off, or they can come back out. This is with the intent that at the back of the middle school, you're now going to have a access to enter from Woodland Drive on Robert Bliss Drive in the future, as we start to master plan the back of that, back of the middle school, and the senior center will also have an entrance into the middle school. It'll be separate, but you'll have entrances off the backside too from Woodland Drive.
My name is interested. Did you say that one of the front entrances is getting closed?
The entrance from the front off of Maple will move down to the front office.
Got it. Thanks.
Correct. And I can follow up with an email to kind of show where we're at now and where we're going to be. Yep.
The only thing I want to make sure, and I assume that this has been, but like one of the things that we've done is we've tried to, our entrance is where like our staff is for security, right? So I just want to make sure when we move that, we're also planning on making sure that, quote unquote, it's a secure entrance and it's going to be directly accessible, and we'll be able to control traffic of individuals in and out, that kind of thing.
Correct. Yes, we're not moving any parking. The long-term working through the middle school is how we move, and maybe we make a second office, so it's easier to park. So you have easier access to parking to get into the building. Special ed pickup and location. Those are all things that we're looking at to make sure that we account for all that. But this would be the first step to ensure safety on Maple Road. And then this is kind of how we're doing it now, because we'll find out next week when Maple Road reopens. But we're allowing drop off and pickup at the front of the building right now, because buses now are all in the back of the building.
So this is showing like there's going to be a new road, basically a school drive. That's where the current middle school sign is, that lawn right there. Is that, sorry, we're probably like not architects for a reason. Yes. Okay. Yep. Yeah. Yep. Perfect. Okay, now I understand. Thanks.
And kind of shows what we're eliminating and what we're adding, and like I said, the back of the middle school will change 2025 to 2026 after we move out. Pleasant Ridge, we'll be bidding off 4 playgrounds as well. They're out for bid right now. You can see some of the improvements with asphalt. We did the Harvest parking lot with the playgrounds and that connector to make sure we have enough asphalt work to get good big coverage. You'll see the new turf going in, new surfacing going in, some new play structures as well, inclusive equipment. So all that's out for bid right now. And so on to the high school steam center. We are doing geothermal at the high school. So this is kind of where we ended up as far as these documents will go out early in December. We're working with the Washtenaw County Water Commission as well as Pittsfield Township on our water detention system for stormwater detention. Once we get that finished up, we will be ready to get these documents out and get them going. This is the front of the building, what the new front of the building will look like at the high school. This just shows us some of the interiors in the building. This is the robotics lab. This is the flex space at the front of the building, presentation area. Science Olympiad possibly. Some of the finishes we've finished those picks and got all that taken care of and got it drawn. Access control, school guard glass. Anybody knows what that is? It's bullet resistant glass. Will be everywhere on the new additions. This kind of just shows a layout and how we'll be able, we're adding actually 3 teaching spaces. The robotics practice area could be a teaching space. The flex room at the front will be a teaching space, and then the collaboration area on the side can be a teaching space. But yet still allow for storage for Science Olympiad to have secure storage, as well as robotics workshop to have secure storage. The weight room will be on the back of the building. Hasn't changed much in the design, but you can kind of see how we're incorporating that back wall that faces north right now. Will become the offset into the aux gym, allow students access to the aux gym as well as the main weight room. They could work 2 classes, if not 3 classes, through this space in a normal hour. And right now they're working 1 class through this space during the day for PE. This kind of shows the layout, hasn't changed. This is our cooling. The cooling budget, it came in a little high, but we thought it was a priority to get this done. So we are adding the cooling to the aux gym, the main gym, all your locker rooms, as well as the wrestling room, weight room, and gymnastics room. And so that's all will be added as well, and part of the bid package in December. Is that the pool observation deck too? That's probably the locker room. Okay. That'd be the locker room, because the observation deck, we wouldn't be. I bet it does. Bidding and construction schedule. So Harvest and Middle School and the playgrounds, those bids are out now. They'll be due back on the end of this month. The Harvest roof will be, of course, it's already been bid. It'll be this summer, and the construction timelines for the summer. The steam, weight room, and the cooling will all be bid in December with bids due in January. And you kind of see the construction schedule. We'll start this spring. We will start moving dirt at the high school for the weight room and the steam center this fall, or this springtime. Once we're done with the cooling this summer, that'll be broken down, and the piping will be, a lot of that will take place during the summer period, but it will not be operational until that summer of 2025. And then we're starting our next projects. The middle school STEAM Center, as long with the campus improvements, and then the Heritage STEAM Center and classroom additions. We'll be starting those designs after January, working with community, staff, senior center, to try to master plan that space and how we tie it into the Liberty Sports Complex, or the new middle school athletic campus as well. Any questions?
We have 2 questions. Oh, go ahead.
Are you looking forward to getting a good rest tonight?
I've got a great team. I do. Through the solar project, I think Amoresco and LaCoy Planners are going to do a great job. Our operations center is moving along. A.R. Brower has done a really good job of being the project manager. I'm going to share that with you guys in a little bit, where we stand with that project. So I've got a good team around me, and they help. It's a lot of phone calls, it's a lot of emails, but it's it's a challenge, but everything can be a challenge too. So
You're doing great. Thank you.
You know, my favorite question is about the high school cooling. So can you go back to the other slide where it talks about timeline? So if construction is fall 24, April 25, the kids are in the building. So what happens to the gym and what happens to gymnastics, wrestling, that whole area while school's in session?
So those areas, it's what happens to get the piping to those areas. So next summer could be a time where we'll be running piping down the hallways in the ceiling. Once we get the piping done, the equipment can be installed on the roof. Most of that stuff's on the roof.
Mm-hmm.
So we may have to crane things over. Kids will not be able to be in the buildings when we do that.
Yeah.
But most of the equipment is on the roof and can be done during the winter, and we have to break down the chillers, and we're going to 20-year checkup is what we're going to do. We're going to break them down and clean them back up and bring them back to life. The chillers themselves, and we're making a new cooling tower as well. We have to enlarge a cooling tower to handle the capacity.
Yeah, big.
The two chillers can handle what we have, but the cooling tower cannot. So we have to increase the size of that cooling tower. That'll happen during the winter when we're not using the air conditioning. But the piping has to get to those classrooms or those spaces, those air handlers on the roof, so we can do it during the summer. Or the winter, I'm sorry, during the winter to finish the installation.
So they can still use these,
Oh,
with
yeah.
the exception of when the crane, obviously. Okay, perfect. And then I guess it's always that lingering question: why didn't this occur when the high school was built?
Probably budget. So there was a lot of value engineering at the end. So, you know, Scott Graydon will tell you that we lost 4 classrooms on the 3rd floor because of $1 million savings of taking those penthouses that should be on the roof, and we put them in the 3rd floor. If you guys go upstairs, there's classrooms on the south side. It's all air handlers on the north side, because there was a budget. It was a value engineering decision somebody made to put those air handlers in there. So I'm sure that, and the district for the most part, the district does not have air conditioning in any other gym, except now for Liberty, which we put in 2 years ago, and Heritage has it. So we really didn't put air conditioning in gyms at the time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not just the gym; it's enclosed spaces and wrestling. Like, it's yeah. Okay, thank you.
I just missed, what are the elevated walkways that you mentioned at Harvest? Or elevated crossways?
So, at the high school, we have a raised tabletop at the main entrance now. You actually feel like you go up. It'll be the same way here. So just to kind of emphasize pedestrian crossing. The walkway will be 8 foot wide. It'll have ballards, and we're putting ballards now all along Pleasant Ridge. What we have there now is not a ballard, it's a light stand. So we're putting ballards to protect the kids as well. So that if they walk along that sidewalk, they'll be able to be protected from any drivers or any mishaps, even a school bus. But it will protect them as well. So
I love that. Great.
A couple of things. First, I'm really excited about the high school cooling, even though my seniors will be graduated by the time it happens. But one of the things that happened this year was that the homecoming was in the gym. They had the dance in the gym, and the kids loved having it in there. The space was much more conducive to the size of the crowd, and so they just really appreciated having that. And I think that adding cooling, in the fall we don't know what the temperatures are going to be, but I think it'll make it for that particular event. But I know for many, many other events, it's going to make that space even more appealing for use during the months that it's hot, and safer for our students who are beginning practice August 10th, August 11th. And so I appreciate that. And then the geothermal, I'm really excited to hear about some of the new technologies that we're using that are, more efficient and earth friendly. And I know on a much, much smaller scale, we included geothermal in our home when we built it about 10 years ago, and the efficiency of that and adding it while we were in construction has just proven to be the quality of the heating and cooling that we get is substantially different, and I can appreciate that will be the same at the high school. So I'm excited about that. And just funny, I was thinking about some of these things and how my kids are going to be graduated when these things come to fruition. But I was remembering back to when I was a senior in high school and we worked really hard as students to pass a bond. And for our graduation, they had started construction in the spring in our high school. But for us to get to the field where we were going to graduate, they cut a hole in the construction fence so we could walk through to our high school graduation. It was just really symbolic. So I'm just having that memory and thinking about how that's such a special memory for me and how I'm really proud of the work that they did on our high school, and how when my kids come back, they'll have that pride and gratefulness to their community for passing such a bond to improve the legacy of our school district. So thank you for you and for your team and the work that you're doing, and the dollars that you're continuing to be mindful of as we move forward.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Rex. I appreciate your time this evening. Thank you. We have 6 recommended motions. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the reappointment of Stephanie Gray and Lori Byron to the Saline District Library Board for a 2-year term beginning December 1st, 2023, as recommended by Superintendent Lodge. Both Gray and Byron currently serve on the Saline District Library Board, and their term expires November 30th, 2023. That's a bit of a lengthy motion, but do we have anyone to?
I would like to do that one. So move, Stebbin.
So move, Stebbin.
Support ESTEP.
Support ESTEP. Do we have any discussion? Probably not.
How many applications did we receive?
I believe it was only 2. Betty has received them. Do we receive more than those 2 library applications? Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. And thank you. All 6-0. Thank you. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the purchase of 2 model year. That's right. We'll have no questions, Rex, I'm sure. To approve the purchase of 2 model year 2024 77-passenger school buses in the amount of $318,792 and 1 2024 lift bus at a cost of $186,554 for a total purchase of $505,346 as recommended by Rex Clary, Director of Operations.
So move, Stebbin.
Stebbin.
Support Miller.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I'd also like to introduce Tracy Mulcair, our transportation manager, who has joined us tonight to give us an update on transportation.
As seen on WDIV. Thank you. Well done. You looked a little cold that morning.
It was cold that morning.
So are there any questions for Stacy? Tracy, sorry, Tracy.
It's okay.
Well, that was the easy one.
Wow. Okay.
I appreciate, by the way, I appreciated the great brochure about the buses. That was very informative.
Tracy's been very busy. We've got, just give an update about where we
Okay,
stand.
Rex wants me to give an update about our staffing. So I put some numbers together. It's really quick, though. We started in August our bid day, which we do every year, with 23 bus routes up for bid and only 13 drivers bidding on them. Since that time, we've seen an increase in the rate of pay and some incentives to get new drivers through the door. We have 1 new driver who is actually driving. It's a really lengthy process. We have 1 new driver who just passed his road test on Monday and will be in a bus soon. We have 2 new drivers that will be scheduled for training and their road tests probably just after Thanksgiving. And we're still using 3 drivers through that company, Divergent, that contracted company. We also have amazing substitutes, retirees who are helping us every single day. Not to mention our office staff, our grounds crew, our mechanics, and our superintendent. So. Okay.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Just before the meeting started, I gave Rex a flashy school bus. I probably should have given it to you.
She'll end up with it.
Okay.
I probably will.
Are there any questions for the team?
No, but I would just like to say, I just love our transportation department. It's such a cohesive group. I mean, the other day I'm in there and they're doing a potluck and they're all contributing, and it just is a really nice atmosphere. It is a great department to work in. So.
Agreed.
Enjoy your new home.
Thank you.
And thank you to the board, and thank you to Kurt Ellis for the contract, and thank you to the board for ratifying it. It's really made a change. We've been able to attract some really good talent, people that live in Saline, have kids in Saline, and now they've found it to be worthwhile to drive school bus. And they're the people that we want driving school bus in Saline. So
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Rex. All in favor then, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Great, 6-0. Thank you very much, Rex. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the recommendation of A.R. Brower to award contracts in the total of amount of $1,200,038 for bid pack number 4 for the new operations center as submitted by Rex Clary, Director of Operations. Do we have a motion?
I'll make one.
Please.
Motion, Gerby.
Gerby.
Support ESTEP.
ESTEP supports. Are there any questions for our?
I'd just like to say this is the 4th and pretty much final bid pack. There'll be some one-offs. We got to buy a lift. We got to buy some equipment. We have a budget set aside for that. But on the construction budget side, on June 30th, you guys approved site work and construction of $10,891,950. So we are pretty much there, and we are $693,666 under budget as of right now. So yes, I think A.R. Brower did a great job of getting bid coverage. Mark and LaCoy Planners has also assisted them to make sure that they are getting good bid coverage. So majority of the bid packages are done now. We do have a budget for furniture, some shop equipment, some racking, and those will be coming to you. But I just wanted you to let you know that on the construction and site work, we've got foundations in, we've got dirt moved. We are in a really good spot, so thank you.
Fantastic, thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Thank you very much. We've approved the recommendation. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the purchase of 40 Epson L530U projectors in the amount of $80,600 as funded by Jay Grossman, Director of Technology.
So move, Stebbin.
Support. Stebbin moves, Miller supports. Thank you very much. Is there any discussion? I've got a question. Well, it's not really a question, it's more of a comment. During one of the tours last week, I managed to walk into a classroom that was empty. I got away from the tour, sorry. And the teacher was, I can't remember her name, she was so excited because the projector that she had in her room was using a dull lamp that was when the sun comes up and shines on the wall, you could barely see it. Today, the day I walked in, it was like she had an extra window in the room. It was amazingly bright. She was so excited about it. And apparently, it's not a lamp or a, what else do we call it? A bulb. It's neither of those.
Correct.
What is
yeah,
it?
they are lampless, so they're using laser now. The benefit to this is we don't have to replace the lamp anymore. They will last 20,000 hours. I did the math. If you leave that all day, school day, for 180 days, it's over 13 years that you get out of that one projector as opposed to having to replace a lamp every 2 to 3 years, which get about 300 hours on them. So there's a great savings. Plus, the laser allows you to get to a brightness where you can see it now in the sunlight, 5,000 lumens as opposed to like in the 1,200 range. So it's a night and day difference during the daytime. It's really a good quality.
And the electricity use is substantially
Reduced.
lower.
Yes, because they're not heating up a bulb anymore.
The pictures that you included in the package really highlighted the difference that it's going to make, and I think that it's going to be a huge benefit, not only a perk for teachers, but the kids will be able to see.
Yes.
So.
Perhaps we shouldn't say this, but about 10 years ago, I saw the first of these laser projectors at a trade show, and apparently you've just been cautious over the last decade.
Making sure the technology is right. The price point's gone down a lot now. They're more affordable now. They're starting to become more of the standard, and people are moving away from the bulbs or the
fantastic.
lamps.
Great.
And going with lampless.
Any questions for Jay? Then, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Grossman. We have, I'd like to end, I think I've missed one. that's right. I'd like to entertain a motion to adopt the annual summer tax resolution as submitted by Assistant Superintendent Miranda Owsley.
Motion Gerby.
Motion Gerby.
Support.
Support Miller. Thank you very much. Is there anything you need to tell us about this? Do we have any questions for her? Ladies and gentlemen, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. No. Are there some signatures some of us need to affix to a document later? I'm seeing it's sort of a nod. Okay.
I'll make sure.
Great, thank you. Discussion items, Board of Finance Committee meeting update. Treasurer.
We need to go back to item F that was added, HR report.
That's
The
going
revised
to be at the consent agenda. Oh, you want? All right, that's fine.
Which means we cannot vote to approve unless there's another motion.
There can be a motion for action.
Right, but I thought we added it in revision of the agenda. I thought it was added as item F.
I think all we're doing is voting to receive and file as opposed to approve.
So I think typically whenever we come to a consent agenda item and we pull it, it just comes out separately from that. But since we did it ahead of time, are we doing that differently?
No,
or-
it's preferred actually to have it ahead of time. That way we don't get tripped up right at the last second. But where would you like to place this, Brad? I really don't care where. It could either be right now under discussion items or it can go tucked down where we're talking about the consent agenda.
Considering we had the board, like the Plant Moran items and all that, I'd like to finish, I guess, the board finance discussions and then transition to any possible discussion about the report.
I'm going to say, I apologize for not placing it in the correct spot earlier as we were getting sorted out. So it's going to be.
I want us to still be able to vote on it.
You can make a motion.
So Brad,
So finance.
Treasurer Brad Gerby.
Okay. So finance met today, 5 o'clock, and we had 2 items that were on our agenda. The first item regarded the financial audit and overview with Plant Moran. I will tell you that the audit report is a significant document, and so we just went through some of the more detailed items and making sure of anything that we were wondering about, okay? And I will tell you, obviously having a clean audit, having no difficulties with the process, all of that, the point of pride I talked about with instruction is all pretty buttoned up on that front for me. And then we had a short discussion as far as fund balance stuff goes, right? Like, and we didn't get too much into that because we also wanted to have a quick discussion about school of choice, but some things that like were standing out to me because we had an expert in Mr. Higgins with us and Miss Eastburg. The reality for me is that our fund balance, while 21.2%, the part that does stick out for me is what they talked about was we have 76 days. That's what the approximation was if we had to exist just on our cash reserves. So 76 days. It kind of helped me to just put that in perspective. They talked about $20,000 on a $100,000 budget or on a $100,000 home budget. So, and so, you know, like I still think that we will continue to have some conversations as a finance team about what is our comfort with fund balance, and we'll engage in those things with our superintendent to make sure that we're targeting the things we need to do, because this is all going to be done in cooperation with the strategic planning that we're doing with regards to budgeting and those kinds of things. So I guess I'm going to give a plug too right now while I'm talking about strategic planning to anybody who wants to be a part of that process, right? Anybody wants to engage with us so that we know what the priorities are of our community, of our staff, of those individuals around us, as we will have to make some decisions about our budget if we don't want to significantly deficit spend and significantly bring down our fund balance in a hurry. That's just a reality. With $3.5 million of ESSER funds in our prior budget. So just from my perspective, that's what I want to say. And our credit rating is positively impacted by our fund balance. So just, these are things to just be keeping in mind, and these are things that the finance team talks about, and we will continue to do so going into 2024. Speaking of which, with tonight's meeting and the completion of the audit for 2023, provided there isn't significant financial district business or action that is required, the finance committee is actually going to go into recess until 2024. We'll be on standby, and we'll be ready for if there's anything that we need to do, okay? But while I have my time here, I want to thank the members of the finance team for trusting me as chair. I want to thank the board president as well. And I also I'm incredibly grateful for the incredible work, as Dr. Lott stated, for Miranda Owsley, right? Like, she makes me as treasurer look so good, right? Like, I mean, it's just easy. And it's because you're awesome at your job, okay? And so that is that, right? You know, when you think about the number of funds we have, when you think about the things that she keeps track of, then we give her grants and we pass cool bonds for kids, and we just keep adding to her plate. And so anyway, I think I've said what I need to say here, but I'm grateful. I'm thankful. All right, and I'm confident in you, incredibly. All right, and unless anybody has any questions, that's the totality of my report.
Great. We'll move on to the part that you wish to remove from the consent agenda, receive and file human resources report.
Start the talk on this, huh? Okay. So I did ask for that. So I do have a comment / a statement and a few questions prior to passing of the human resources report. And, you know, I'm just supporting my conscience and what I think is right. I'd appreciate being able to make my whole statement, and because I don't want the part at the end to go unnoticed, and then I would welcome, obviously, any discussion or comments from the team. So first off, I believe in the rules. So I want to make sure I state out loud that I believe in following policies, and I believe in following board operating procedures. These govern us as a board. They maintain stability. They maintain order. Policy 1022 states the board does not directly hire and refrains from providing input for any district personnel other than the superintendent. As such, I will be personally voting yes to approve the personnel report in a moment. I will be voting yes. That doesn't mean I can't comment on processes as a whole, and that is why I asked for the human resource to be individualized tonight. So I want to make two comments about the process. Number one, to some middle school staff who have expressed thoughts recently about process and some operational concerns, which are not my place. And the desire for consistency in the leadership position. I hear you, I see you, I value, and I can tell you we will continue to have conversations on your behalf. Number two, I do not think that our district should be advertising the hiring of an employee until the process is complete. It is my belief that we may have had some rush in a recent hire to advertise. And I understand that there could be whispers in the community that would get out, but that didn't stop us in the past when we've made other decisions, like, for example, and I never want to go back to this, masking requirements. We had conversations about it, and sometimes I did hear like, ooh, you guys are going to maybe do this or that. And I didn't mind because those people were really important people in our school district and they were important to us, right? But we completed the process, we partnered with our community, and then we did it. So I guess that's just my opinion that that's the right thing to do. And then I have a few questions that I just want to ask about the approval of the human resources report as a whole, okay? And how they apply and couple with policy 1022, right? We don't directly hire, okay? But there have been times where we could have concern. Our community could bring consistent or significant concerns to us. We've had closed sessions where we've had conversations as a team, right? And so there are some questions that I have that I just didn't get answers that I would like to continue to discuss. Okay, I never want to be in the position where we ever as a board feel like we would not want to back the incredible and the good decisions that our people make, right? And I don't want to be in that position ever. And so, but what if we ever were, right? And so I guess that's a question that I have is, What happens in an instance where we don't approve the, this report? What happens? That's a question that I have. Does 1022 obligate us to do those things all the time? When does a hire become complete, quote unquote, from a legal standpoint and from a legal sense? And I know these are complicated matters, and we have a great superintendent and a great HR department, and I highly doubt it's ever coming up, but it did come up for me and my questions, and boom. I wonder if there are positions where the public would have a greater interest in those positions. And so, like, is there a bigger responsibility on our part to then complete the process? And that's all I'm asking for, and that's all I really wanted to talk. Now, the last thing I would want to say is this, that I want to be very clear that I did not pull the personnel report from consent, and I did not wish to have this because of any particular individual hire tonight. I do not. That's not my job. I trust the individuals on this human report, and I trust that they are incredibly highly qualified and talented. Specifically, if I'm going to speak to, they're like I talked earlier about consistency, right? At the middle school, Miss Jasper, her experience is outstanding, right? She's highly qualified. She's a talented administrator. She will be a strong fit, and our community knows her. Okay, so I want to make sure I say that, considering what I said at the beginning. And so I will be voting to confirm the hires, all of them. And I anticipate they will do an outstanding job. My questions are about the entirety of the process and our board's defined role in hiring approval with regards to totality of all positions. I welcome our thoughts and our feedback.
I have answers to that, policies.
Go ahead, Trustee Eastep.
Okay, so to the specific policy questions, so the policy 0122, I think just to begin, the board operating procedure, I believe, is what you were referring to. Correct? Okay.
But what supersedes?
So the policy, which, some of this, I think, we've talked about it was a work in progress when we got it, right? Because there's some, things pulled from it. So the 0122 policy is board powers. And it talks about like the general powers of the school district. So this is going to answer, I think, part of your question. It's from law about the basically what powers we have. And so one of those is included, not limited to, under D is hiring, contracting for, scheduling, supervising, or terminating employees, independent contractors, so that's just what it says generally with that specifically. However, there's another policy that I've pulled, which is policy 3120, and that's employment of professional staff. And so it talks about, the board having positions that are created and the board filling those positions. In the paragraph, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it's like under the list of who we would hire. It says, such approval shall be given only to those candidates for employment recommended by the superintendent. When any recommended candidate has been rejected by the board, the superintendent may make a substitute recommendation. So I think that kind of answers, like, what if we were to deny, if we're like.
Can I interject? But then are we just, because the way it says it here, we're filing and what is the words? We are filing and receiving. It certainly doesn't say that we are doing that. I don't, like, it's fine with me. I don't want to get in the minutia of hiring. I really don't. Like, it's operations, and I trust the people we hire. But But
And
anyway,
that might be
it's unclear to me.
Oh, sorry. I think that might be under our, let's see. I'm like, the consent agenda piece. I think we have a bylaw on that one. And I think that might, I'm sorry, I'll pull it. Do you all have other?
Just to
I can't find
clarify,
it,
that
but-
3120 policy seems to cover employees that are not covered by the collective bargaining agreements that we have. So there's special one-offs situations like speech pathologists. I don't believe we hire any teachers under that
It
special.
says teachers.
I don't believe, let me finish, please. I don't believe we hire any teachers under that special situation unless there might be a special case for a special needs student perhaps that needs a particular teacher. But that 3120 doesn't include all teachers. That includes special cases, professional staff, right? Okay. Superintendent Lodge might want to clarify something since he works with this.
What I would like to clarify is any suggestion that we didn't follow process here is somewhat offensive, and I do believe it's a lack of trust by you suggesting that we went through a process in this latest hire that somehow we are not following our processes. To me, that does demonstrate a lack of trust. Secondly, I want you to be aware of the difficulty in hiring staff, that what you're suggesting, this idea that the board will discuss all candidates before we hire, would have on the human resources department and the teaching and learning department when we're trying to onboard people. But the suggestion is that you're gonna discuss before we hire or make public who these candidates are. I'm not understanding.
Can I rebut on that, please? Like, please. I don't want that. I don't want that at all. No, I don't want to be on committees. And no, I don't want to know who the candidates are for positions because that's your job. But I'm wondering, when I file and receive a human resources report, I asked a couple questions and the answers we're not really sure where it kind of lies and where it becomes like finalized and all of that. And so if we're going to advertise these things, I wonder, where does the finality happen? I'm happy about the hire. I think you did a fine job on it, so that I could say that out loud. I do trust you, and I've said it repeatedly at meetings. I have told everybody I know how proud I am to be on this school board. Go to my social media. Look at how much I support you. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to make this about you and me, but the reality is that's not true. And I don't want to make this about you and me, but like the reality for me is that. And I'm sorry that you hear my questions and feel that way about it.
Well,
I don't want it to feel that way.
we don't, okay. I do have a quick question, Brad, just to wrap, put a little pin in that part, and then we'll go to Jenny. You asked a question, when is the hiring official? And I understand there's probably contracts to be signed and things like that. And I heard you say, you asked the first question and you said the word approved. Then secondly, you said the approval of this report. Then you said confirm. But what we're doing is simply receiving and filing, if I understand this correctly. Well,
Not.
who, well, I guess we should ask Susan.
Sure. By law.
Which law?
0166.1, the consent agenda that I was referring to. So the routine business items, I've always had a question as well of how it's worded. Receiving, filing, because we do hire. So under that piece with the consent agenda, it includes C, hiring of personnel. Also E, resignations and leaves. So that's what I've always, according to our bylaws, means that that's what we are doing.
Did you have something to, well, Jenny,
So I just, I wanted to just chime in here, I guess, because I'm hearing a few different things. So the first thing is, there are times when we have to speak at this spot on the board, not necessarily from our own opinions, but because we are representatives of the public. And so there are times when the public or people in our community are coming to us with their concerns and with their questions, and we have an obligation to ask those questions. And it doesn't necessarily mean that I personally don't trust the process. So for example, I know that when we recently passed the materials opt-out policy, I personally don't need that policy. That's not a policy that I will use for my children. However, at the persistence and request of many people in our community, we worked on that policy for a number of months. So what I'm saying here in this situation is that I think what I would like to say is that I believe that Brad has full trust in our superintendent and the HR department. However, we have been getting a number of inquiries around the process. And so it is our obligation and our responsibility to ask those questions. And so that's what I'm hearing, and that's what I wanted to say about that. And then the last thing that I just wanted to say is that in terms of the process, I think that one idea might be that in the future, before things are published on social media about a hire, the consent agenda or the HR report should be received and filed. So that kind of validates the hiring process, and it confirms the completion of that process. I'm not sure. I'm just saying that might be a way for us as a board to move forward with future HR reports.
Okay, so here's my concern. This has been our practice and our process for the last 20 years, or at least time that I have been here as an administrator. Are you concerned about the process or who we hired?
I'm trying to say, for me personally, I'm speaking for me personally, that it seems like there has been some distrust from people who have reached out to us about the process. And so maybe circling back to people who participated in that process and I don't know, communicating with them, and I can have more conversation, and I'm sure Brad could have more conversation with you about that. I'm saying, as a way of moving forward, if there are concerns from this day forward, would it be a practice that you would consider to hold back from social media posts until the board has been
Okay, what are the concerns about the process? That's what I would like to know. What are the actual concerns about the process? You're saying process. Our process is the same for this hire as it has been those in the past.
Mm-hmm.
All right, tell you what. I'm hearing a lot of questions that may need to be discussed at a greater length, perhaps even through the policy committee at a later date. But I'd like to ask Jennifer Stebbin to speak now. She had her hand up earlier.
Yeah, thank you. If the policy committee chooses to do so and look at the language and the consent agenda, that sounds like a good idea, and take that conversation kind of offline here. I wanted to move to return the HR report to the consent agenda, please.
I wanted to speak since that was a question.
There's a motion on the floor, though, too.
Okay, I didn't get to finish.
You finished, then Brad spoke, then Jenny spoke, then Jennifer Stebbin spoke, put a motion on the floor.
So we're done with that conversation?
Possibly. It depends on what how the discussion goes, based on that. At this point, we have one person has moved to put this receive and file back in the consent agenda. Does that have any support?
I could support that, but I do feel that Susan was answering questions, and I think that it's important that her voice is heard.
All right. No doubt about it.
I could even support that. Like, I've been heard.
Well, of course. So, so I have a second from Mr. Gerby. Now, if there's any discussion.
I didn't second it yet.
Oh, you said you could get.
Discussion that would happen after I second it, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yes, that's what I was just
Then
saying.
fine, I second it, and I open discussion back up.
Actually, I'd like to open the discussion. Thank you. So is there any discussion then before we put this back into the consent agenda?
Yes. I do want to bring up, because there, again, a question about process. And I know something that's been super important in the past, and have seen to be a practice, and actually kind of went through the hiring with having panels, sorry, not panels, but candidate forums, and that's been good as far as the DEI advisory committee have advocated for that transparency. I know the last Saline Middle School principal forum was in 2020. We've had like Pleasant Ridge a couple of times. I mean, this goes back to 2016, 2020, 2012, the Saline High School, and 2022 was Saline High School as well, where there were open forums. And I think, you know, for families, the public, and anybody who's not able to participate in that process in a, you know, a small hiring committee. So I think at least that's what the feedback I've heard and things that I've appreciated in my time here on the board, that there is transparency.
Thank you. Is there any discussion about putting this back into the consent agenda? No? Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Great. Oh, I've lost my agenda. There we go. Later, we will get to the consent agenda. But first, I'd like to have the administration and board updates. Thank you. Yeah, sure, usually.
Okay, I first want to respond to something that we've been working on. On October 18th, I met with the Black Student Union at the high school to get feedback on their experiences at Saline High School. And what I heard from the vast majority of the attendants was that they've been supported by their teachers and administrators, and for the most part, the students. However, they certainly did talk about their concerns of some continued racism at the high school. And we spoke about the importance of creating a safe environment and the discussion of hate speech guidance and discriminatory language, and that we as a administration are working on strengthening that to be better supportive of our student body, and that we wanted to be able to come back to the Black Student Union to provide feedback on some of the strengthened language. And so that's where we're at right now, and I do want to make it clear that we won't accept that we have kids that feel unsafe at the high school, and we'll continue to work on that. I also did want to point out that how proud I was of our student body and our veterans in particular, that this last Friday I was at Woodland Meadows and the students put on a wonderful concert in support of our veterans. And then I was at the high school where we have veterans come in and share their stories of their service in our history classes, and the kids ask great questions, and it's just a great environment. And Pleasant Ridge does some things as well. So I'm always really proud of the service that our kids provide and that the community provides for us, and that was a really good example at these Veterans Day celebrations. And then I do just want to thank again Cheryl Heft and her team for another really outstanding craft show. that takes months to get organized. And again, that's a service project where the money goes back to the one-room schoolhouse. And it just shows how, really wonderful and caring and giving our community is. Even people that, they don't have school-aged children, yet they've been giving back in the community for years and years and years. So I feel very fortunate to have people like Cheryl Heft still providing support here.
So we can go up and down the table? Oh, students first.
Yeah, thank you for recognizing the field hockey team. I know it meant a lot, specifically to the seniors, to be recognized, so thank you for that. And then also I wanted to touch on what Dr. Lott said about the Black Student Union. Tomorrow morning I'm going on behalf of Yearbook and Student Council, the Voice Committee. We're going to work with the Black Student Union to create a town hall possibly in the future, just to create an open forum for the students. So that's my update.
And my update is, with the trimester coming to an end, I hope everybody passes their finals along with along with senior capstone. Tomorrow we leave for Ecuador to go help and build or dig a trench and to let water go to farm animals, along with a tilapia fish farm. So we're there for next Wednesday to Wednesday, so that should be a lot of fun. And can't wait for Thanksgiving to come up, spend time with family, friends, and eat a lot of turkey and pumpkin pie. So that's my update.
Buena suerte. Well done. Treasurer Gerby.
All right. So with regards to, I got a couple of things, and one of them I'll admit is a little lengthy, so I'll try to get through it quick. With regards to social media and the comments we had earlier from the Black Student Union and from students at our school, I want to state out loud that I wholeheartedly condemn that behavior, and I find it and define it and find it to be hate speech, and I support strong consequences for this type of behavior. That being said, I'm not a district leadership team member, and as such, I trust the experts who we heard tonight, who we've hired to enforce our policies, state consequences, work together to develop handbook guidance and language and new recommendations. And I look forward to continuing and partnering with our principals and district leaders as they discourage this behavior and develop those things. So I appreciate that, everything they will do. I am deeply sorry to any student who saw those things in our school and was impacted. And let me be clear, this behavior is not, nor will it ever be welcome in our school, according to this trustee. And if you're doing this kind of thing, it's disgusting, and it needs to stop. Number two, on Tuesday, November 7th, the school district offered, and I attended, a workshop sponsored by the Saline PTO and PTA organizations on safe gun storage. Attendance was sparse, I admit. It was just the superintendent and I. That said, so that was a little bit disappointing, but I'm proud of these organizations and their courage to provide this important training on firearms and proper storage. I wanted to be present to show my support, though I do not personally own any firearms. I know it was election night. I hope we can figure out a way, and I know we are. I read some really cool things that Dr. Lodge had as suggestions about ways for that group to make connections, and I applaud you. I appreciate your thoughtfulness on those things. And then I started thinking about some of the things that I've seen. You know, I recently revisited a study, April of 2022, Johns Hopkins University, in cooperation with the CDC, gun deaths in the United States. It was a study on it, and I'm happy to provide that to the community. Primary conclusion that stood out to me is that on page 13 and 14, firearms were the leading cause of death for children and teens aged 1 to 19, prematurely taking the lives of 4,357 people. An average of 8 children aged 0 to 12 were killed by guns every day in 2020. This study also definitively concluded that marginalized individuals are even impacted at greater rates. This got me further thinking about right now, and 2 years ago, in November 30th, 2021, being the 2-year anniversary of a devastating school shooting in Oxford, right? And I think that's a community, and in many ways I see as being similar to Saline. It won't happen here. You know, and my thoughts go out to that community. Then last month, Lewiston, Maine has another gun tragedy. I'll save you, you know, my thoughts on that. And then I read on October 30th, a gun violence and fatalities report in Texas, again, making the conclusion about the leading cause of death among adolescents is firearms, as in the article described it as a pandemic. Now, I'm not the expert on health and pandemics. I defer to Dr. Gold on that. But again, the report is concerning and something that made me take notice. So I say all this to make one conclusion, and it is this. It is November, and I think about Thanksgiving. I think about my year in 2023, and I am incredibly disappointed in myself as a trustee that I don't think I've done enough. And for students and staff like me who just want to be safe at school, I concur that gun violence is a pandemic in this country. And so as one vote out of 7, I am asking for us to continue these efforts, okay? I know our leadership team is looking regularly at safety protocols. I know we as a board have made the intentional decision to visit safety procedures annually. I want to be clear about my appreciation for those things. But I know that in 2024 that we could have reshuffling of committee assignments and all those kinds of things. And I want the community to know that in 2024, I will not fail you on that front again. And I'm going to make this as an important topic to me. And I know it's passionate, and I know it's a lot of things, but I think we can have conversations about these things, especially regarding gun storage. So it's important to me, and I hope we can do that. I have 2 other things. I had some family commitments that kept me from attending the MSP conference this past weekend. I apologize I couldn't make it. I'm thankful for the commitment of my board colleagues who did attend, and thankful for your support of students and developing your skills. And I want to thank Ms. Stager for visiting tonight and sharing her highlights. My kid, Graham, he's having a great high school experience, and I appreciate everything. And then the last item I have is, in light of it being Thanksgiving, I wish to offer my best wishes and thankful appreciation for everyone and anyone who assists with the education of our children, in particular my own. I am so thankful to send my children to the Saline area schools.
Thank you, Mr. Kirby. Secretary Miller.
So just as a side note, the policy committee has been looking at policies and potential resolutions around safe gun storage. So that is something that should be coming, and so hopefully we'll see. I know Trustee Gold and Trustee Eastup are actively working on that, and have taken on the responsibility or initiative to kind of collect ideas for that. So that should be coming soon, hopefully. So that aside, moving on, I wanted to also recognize Woodland Meadows Veterans Day. We started that program when I was a teacher there, and I just so appreciated those experiences, and also appreciate that it's continuing, and the honor that is bestowed by our students and recognition from those students to our veterans is wonderful and emotional, and really I think enlightening and educational for both for both our veterans and for our students. So I love that continues, and was able to watch it while I was at home on the video, because I have been homesick for a little while. So anyway, so appreciate that happened, and loved also reading about the event at the high school. I wanted to also wish good luck to our two seniors who are here tonight, and to the rest of the students at the high school. And I don't know if the middle school does end of trimester exams, but good luck to wrapping up the trimester to all of our students, and to the teachers who are gearing up for a lengthy conference evenings coming up, and just appreciating how much they partner with caregivers and parents to benefit our students. Especially going into the Thanksgiving holiday. So thankful for them for many, many reasons. I was able to participate in the building tours. I missed Liberty in the middle school because I was at the high school. I participated as a parent volunteer in both the first hour and third hour race and ethnicity classes. And so that was really a nice opportunity to participate as mom to my 2 seniors one last time, and to participate in that class in particular. So thank you to Mr. Lampman for the invitation and opportunity. I was able to do it when Allie was in that class, so it was nice to be able to do it again for Drew and Lainey. And then I had just a short statement, well, not a short, but I have a statement that I want to read really quickly in response to the email message that we received concerning the repeated occurrences of racist vandalism at the high school, and to the students and families who have spoken in public comment tonight and have reached out previously. Thank you to Bella and Aaliyah specifically for speaking during public comment tonight, and for Teresa also for sharing in her report to us. I appreciate that Bella and Aaliyah shared their experiences and ideas for solutions or changes moving forward, and I want to echo Vice President Stebbins' request to email those ideas to us to continue to review and ponder, specifically for the work that the DEIAC, Dr. Lach and his leadership team, and the policy committee is doing in considering any revisions to the hate speech policy. To the students in particular, you're hurt and angry and feel that the district is not doing enough or moving quickly enough to eradicate racism from our schools, from our school community. This can be a hard issue to bring up, and I appreciate you trusting us to come forward tonight and to speak, and also speaking to us previously. I appreciate that you've also worked with Dr. Lach, the Board of Education, and now tonight hearing that our student council is going to be partnering with our Black Student Union and other adults in our schools. I want to support you and others who have felt harm recently and in the past. We know that you're not alone, and your voices echo the experiences of others, just as Bella shared tonight. If you feel comfortable reaching out to talk more, I'm here to listen to you and ready to work on your behalf to the best of my role and ability as school board trustee and current policy chair. I plan to support you by requesting that both the DEIAC and policy committee and the work that Dr. Lach is doing continue to be expedited to re-examine and revise the hate speech policy and any accompanying administrative guidelines or personal operationalizing of those policies. I also invite you to attend our regular policy meetings and to give your input during public comment regarding school policies overall, but especially any suggested revisions to the hate speech policy, which I know you're already sharing with Dr. Lach, and so I can appreciate that. I am confident that the intentions of those who first adopted policies such as the hate speech policy were trying to create a supportive school environment. However, I want to acknowledge that sometimes intent doesn't match impact, and when that happens, we must commit to re-examining our practices and policies. And that's it for me.
Thank you very much. Vice President Stebbins?
Yep. First, I wanted to start off by saying what a joy it was to have so many students in this. Okay. It was a joy to have so many students in our boardroom. I really appreciate the superintendent's recognition section on the agenda, and I look forward to that continuing. But whether we're talking about something that's joyful or something that's incredibly challenging and difficult, it's important that the students know that this is their boardroom and that we exist for them in the school district to support their education. So thank you for that. Today was our Foundation for Saline Area Schools meeting. The trustees and team scored 20 different grants, which is really impressive. They moved through 15 of them today, the rest going on the agenda for December. And I was really impressed with the thoughtful reflection that they gave each grant. They thought about the impact on the students, the staff, overall needs, and the sustainability of each experiment or each project that was offered. So I was very, very impressed with that. Also impressed that requests were starting to come from new staff and for new courses. I thought that that was really important to see that new staff are feeling welcomed and getting their voice and asking for things, which was great, and exciting new classes. As Giving Tuesday moves upon us, if you are able and interested, I'm sure the Foundation for Saline Area Schools would love your support in that as well. And at this time of Thanksgiving, I just wanted to say thank you to all of our staff and all of our students for creating a school district that I am incredibly proud of. Thank you.
Trustee Eastep.
Oh, do I have an update for you all?
I guess to start with the racism that is and has been going on in the schools, at least since I've I've heard about since before, moving here in 2010. It's disappointing, to say the least, that issues continue to exist. I think we need to address this head on. When we talk about bullying and harassment, that it's not, let's just be nice to one another, right? Like, there needs to be like action behind that, and learning about that we do not tolerate that. I do want to say that the hate speech statement, I know we've called it policy, and there's been confusion around it. It's not a board policy. It is just a statement that has been worked on with the DEIAC, and the admin has worked on it. That is only went in the student handbooks. I know when we look at the consequences and the bullying, everything in the handbooks, that's not specifically coming from our policies. So we have, the overarching, we have federal law that, our students need to be, can't be discriminated against or harassed, and should have a free, appropriate education, just as, all students. But there is law, federal law, there is state law, where you have protections to not, protections in that you should not be experiencing an environment that does not feel safe and welcoming to you, and that you are experiencing that. That's not okay. But whenever the consequences don't come directly from our policies. I don't know if there's administrative guidelines somewhere. We don't have access to it online about that, so maybe that's where it's being pulled from. But from when I was looking at the handbooks, it looks like it's at the discretion of, with the hate speech, it says the discretion of the administrator as far as what happens in those with the consequences piece. So I just want to be mindful of that. I'm glad that it is going back to the DEIAC, and that the student voice is going to be there at the table. I think it's awesome what you are doing, coming and supporting, your fellow students, and having that forum that is so important. Which brings me to the MASB conference, annual leadership conference, which I attended. I'll start with my favorite session, which was collecting student voice to help drive policy to create a system of inclusion for all. How perfect is that? What you just said, I'm like, yes, like that sparked, right? And so this was Kanawha Hills Public Schools. The woman, Brooke Davis, presented. She's the Director of Diversity, Equity, and Mental Health Services. And, she just showed us some examples of how to bring in student voice. And, at the end of the day, you are the ones, on the ground experiencing this and everything that's being implemented. We need to know, right? Or I want to know, and I'm sure others on the board and community, how we can help you, make it the best environment that we can, So I'm excited to share maybe some of those resources with the DEIC, or if anybody else is interested. But there was great great information with that. So student voice, that's why we're all here, for the students. And yes, I think we have a lot of work to do, and I really trust our young people to help with that. So this was my last year, so year 3 of Resolutions and Bylaws Committee. So we had a meeting on Thursday, and I attended the delegate assembly as one of your delegates to represent later that evening. And so there was an amendment to, one of the amendments that I'm worked on and was part of, was introduced and passed, and that's the curriculum and standards. And I wanted to read one of the portions where we have added language stating MASB's opposition to legislator requiring alternative curriculum or opt-out options, and that school boards should not be required by state law to provide students alternative curriculum materials. So that language, the MASB urges school boards to involve parents and others in the community, and so that's around curriculum. And then, let's see, school boards should not be required by state law to provide students alternative curriculum materials or allow students to opt out of classes or classroom exercises and core curriculum courses. So that passed, no issue discussion with our large room. And also, there was an amendment made by a fellow trustee in the state, and I helped support that and stood up. And that's an amendment to the Civil Rights Act, and that specifically, sorry, let me see. So basically, the amendment, because in Michigan, the Elliott Larson Civil Rights Act added sexual orientation and gender identity or expression. We were able to add that in. It passed to add it as one of the resolutions we had back in 2019, which was MASB urging the addition of that language. So it was super exciting to, I remember back in 2019, my first, I believe that was my first year at the MASB conference. And I remember being super excited to hear that being proposed, and, made me feel like there was a commitment in public education and the school boards to be inclusive and to support that. So it's super exciting to have that added in. So now we are focusing on U.S. Civil Rights Act to add that language. So it was kind of a sweet thing to be part of that change in a few years. So and I absolutely love the board, like visiting the schools and stuff. And one of my children was super surprised when I walked in the classroom and their back was to the door, and then suddenly they were just like, what are you doing here? Official people coming in. And so it was really cute. But I just, I think that just gives me energy to see what's going on in the schools, and it's, I even got to see President McVeigh acting like one of the students. When was that? You sat down. It was geometry, I believe.
They made me figure out some geometry. So just
yeah.
a quick question before we go into Trustee Gold. Was your child surprised or horrified?
Surprised,
Oh, okay.
but then
That's
said,
your side of this.
but told my wife that she was embarrassed. But then I was like, what? And she was like, just kidding.
Mortified. All right, thank you. Trustee Gold.
I'll try to be brief, but So regarding the commentary and regarding the racism that takes place every day in all places in this country, and to which Saline is not exempt, I'd like to say that I consider it a sentinel event. So in medicine, with sentinel events, it means there's an error that happens, and sometimes the error doesn't mean anything, but everyone is supposed to stop what they're doing and look into why it happened, what happened, and how do we prevent it from happening again. And I think that it's really easy for those of us who haven't experienced hate speech personally to see it as another form of people being mean. But really what it should be is an absolute sentinel event, a danger sign, a siren, loud, stop what you're doing and feel it, and treat it with the same alarm as physical harm. That's how I feel about the written or spoken use of that kind of language anywhere, including in our schools. And I mean that from all of us. I think our administrators are trying their very best in a very difficult situation. So I'm not talking about it being a sentinel event only for teachers or only for the administration. I mean, it should be a sentinel event as best as we can for every single one of us, where we feel it, stop what we're doing, and put every resource we can into making it better. So that means parents, that means fellow students, especially the students who have the social power, the connections, the friendships to say, no, I'm not going to let this happen in my school. And it is for that reason, not because of what power or ability I might have on the policy committee, or that I feel that it was important for me to show up and to say something. Not because I alone can do anything, but because I find the use of slurs against Black students, teachers, families in this community to be beyond upsetting. I find it to be a stain on the entirety of the community, and I think that we have a moral responsibility to treat it with the outrage that it deserves. And I think whether it's fair or not, what many students, families, and community members feel is that they don't feel that outrage from all of us as a community. And I know that we're not just here to express outrage. I have great, great respect and empathy for our teachers and administrators who are tasked with the nearly impossible job of putting that outrage and that hurt and that pain into action in a way that is not only punitive but is educational. So it's a Herculean job, and I don't envy anyone. But to the degree that I can be helpful as a listening ear, as an advocate, as a person in the community who says, no, this is not right, this is not the same as other, not that any teasing is okay, but that we understand the severity of it. And then I think the next piece is coming up with the kinds of educational corrections that will make a difference with students. And for that, I think we really are going to need to start looking to other students. So I am thrilled that you're going to be going to the meeting. And when I was seeing the little safeties come across today, I started thinking to myself, wouldn't that be nice if we had something like that in the high school to help keep people emotionally safe? Wouldn't it be nice if we had people with nice things on who kind of just hung out hey, I heard what you said, maybe that wasn't so great. And then, because it just seems like a big place. And I think that we all are in this together. And I appreciate Principal Stager talking to the community and to parents, because it's really on all of us. And not even if we think our own child wouldn't have used that language or couldn't have used that particular language. The thing is that it comes to everybody. Everybody could say something about another group of people, and everybody has been probably in the situation where they hear something they know is wrong and they don't want to stand up in that moment because it's hard. And I get that, but I think that it's going to be really important for each of us to stand up. So I'm grateful for the Black Student Union bringing this to our attention. I'm grateful for the administration taking it and continuing it to take seriously. I want to work with my fellow policy members, and I want the community to know that I'm listening and going to try to do whatever I can as my piece, as a parent, as a community member, as a board member, as a physician, as somebody who cares about kids, to try to make it better. On that note, I could say a lot about what I'm thankful for this year, but I've been thinking a lot about kids lately, and students and patients. And so with us going into finals, I would like to say that I'm thankful for our kids, from the littlest ones up to our high schoolers and seniors. I think that this is a generation of kids who are passionate. They work so hard. They're the kind of studying they do, the extracurricular activities they're in, what is expected from them, from AP classes to, this is a hard working generation of kids who often don't get credit. So I am really grateful to be a person who gets to get a front row seat in many ways to watching so many of our Saline kids grow up. And I'm thankful for all the hard work they're putting in and for their kindness. And if I do have faith in anything in these difficult times with horrible stories like that, is that I know there's so many of you out there who want to make this school a better place. And I'm here to support you in that.
Thank you very much, Trustee Gold. I think I can actually pile on top of that and dovetail nicely with, I think so. Speaking of seeing our schools and visiting and knowing what goes on in our schools and having a front row seat, let me just go back in time just a tiny little bit to January, when the International Society for Technology and Education, ISTE, merged with another powerhouse group called the Association for Supervision and Curriculum Development, ASCD. I serve on that board, and the CEO of the organization is a fellow named Richard Culata. And he has been, we were discussing this, he's been to more schools than Miguel Cardona. He's been to more schools than any of us could possibly imagine. So when he walks into a school, he has some litmus tests about what he knows to be an effective school. He gets excited about what he's about to see. So how excited was I in early October when he said, hey, I'm doing some work in Wayne State University in Detroit Public Schools. You just live like 30 minutes away, according to Google. Can I pop down and see your school? And can you set me up with somebody? Well, of course I did. Her name is Kara Davis. And before you know it, on November 2nd, because we did avoid Halloween, apparently that was a good thing, Richard Culata, CEO of ASCDSD, came and visited the high school, the South and West Washtenaw Consortium, Heritage, and Woodland Meadows. It was a bit of a whirlwind tour, but we did a debrief at Woodland Meadows and had a conversation about what he saw, let's just touch base. He said, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. He has a litmus test for what he sees when he walks into schools. If he walks into a classroom and he has trouble finding the teacher in the first minute, he says he knows that he's in an interesting place. And of course, he walked, for one of the first places we went to was the Innovation Lab. And I'm not sure to this day Mrs. McKelvey was even in there. I'm sure she was. But he was very impressed with what he saw all across our school district. And I'm also delighted to report that in the debriefing, Kara Davis shared this with the leadership teams at those schools. And she was not overstating it. He was so delighted to be here. It gave him hope. He wasn't just looking at the technology either. He was looking at everything. And he has a very trained eye. He's a very sharp fella. Background at the Office of Educational Technology in the White House, and former CIA agent. He's got a lot going on. And he had a lot to say to us. He was so impressed. So I just wanted to say, keep up the good work. carry on. We love what you're doing. The students love what you're doing. The parents, to the most part, love what you're doing. And we, as a board, certainly do. I've got to tell you that. So that's all. That's my note. Really brief and to the point, I hope. Oh, you missed something earlier. That's right.
I just wanted, this was like maybe not the most important, but second most important thing I wanted to say tonight, especially in light of the field hockey team being here tonight. As we move from field hockey to ice hockey, good luck to Mateo and also Caroline. I just wanted to recognize, because it's an award that I hold dear, because it was in honor of one of the most inspiring people in Allie's life. So I just want to recognize that Caroline was bestowed the Erica Riley Scholarship Award, which is bestowed to one of the seniors. And she had to fill out an application, and along with many of her teammates, and they all have, as you can imagine from seeing them tonight, extensive resumes and accolades. And so her competition was stiff. But knowing Erica and knowing the contributions that she's made to field hockey here in our community, but also throughout really the United States, Iowa, and the East Coast. And I continue to see Erica from time to time, and you emulate all of the things that Erica brought to field hockey and to our community. And I was ecstatic to hear that you were the recipient of that scholarship. So congratulations.
Well, it was worth it. I'm going to grudgingly admit. No. The consent agenda is listed in this agenda and will not be read aloud. The motion noted will allow for the authorization of all listed items without discussion unless a member of the board requests that any one of them be considered individually. I'd like to entertain a motion to move to authorize the consent agenda as printed.
Motion, Gerby.
Motion, Gerby.
Support.
Seconds.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Who?
Whatever's fastest.
Stebbins is fine.
Stebbin?
All
We're
in
gonna
favor,
get to
please.
Stebbin? Okay.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Nay? Okay, 6-0. Thank you very much. Let me scroll down just a little bit. Dr. Lotch, is there anything scheduled on the next agenda?
Yeah. Teaching and learning update by Kara Davis and her teaching and learning team. It'll be about continuous improvement.
And I understand there'll be a closed session for
Superintendent evaluation.
Superintendent
closed session.
evaluation. Public comment. At this point, a member of the public may address the board briefly for up to 3 minutes or request to be scheduled on the agenda at a future meeting. We have at least one. Only if it's not green.
Is it green?
Good evening. I, Changming Fan, local social entrepreneur. I begin with the word salute to all of you. You fight, you're the leader. Fight against the racism. Fight against the climate deterioration. And also try to work together to lead us. I have to say that important thing is tonight, I'm happy that SAS started the roof, put the solar panel roof on there. There's another thing which makes me very excited, want to talk tonight about climate change, how our leaders from Biden to Governor Whitmore, my healthy climate change plan led by Governor aimed at 2050 net zero, 2030 to 50%. And this is really ambitious and practical. I was honored to receive invitation to submit the proposal, hopefully to be admitted at the conference next year, April 16th and 17th in Lansing. In that invitation, which is submitted, just give me 5 days, I read clearly, want to student to participate too, to submit this student poster presentation too. How nice that will be as I submitted 500 word mentioned about SALT initiative. And I give the name of the board, how important to get support from you. We have to follow the leadership from the White House to Lansing to continue this fight. Justice 40 is the word I learned. Fight against those discrimination. 40 means 40% of the benefit go to the 40% underserved. So I hope that I can guard this, and also join me, please. Give me support to represent Saline area school and also the communities. Saline should lead, Michigan should lead, United States should lead in this fight for the humanity. And we have to work together. There's no planet B. Because just think about the rest of the world. China, in some respect, is ahead of US. I gotta stop. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fan. First of all, the next Board of Education meeting will be held on December 12th at 6:30 p.m. I would like to entertain a motion to enter into the closed session of the Board of Ed at, let's say, 9:30 p.m. with the intent to open, how long do you think that'll take, Mr. Ellis? 15 minutes maybe? At about 9:45. For the purpose of collective bargaining, 8C of the Open Meetings Act. Under 8C, a simple majority is sufficient to enter into a closed session. So do we have someone who can motion us into this, please? Miller motions.
Support Gold.
Oh,
No, Lauren has it.
this is her first tonight, so Lauren Gold. Lauren Gold, support. All in favor, please say aye. Thank you. Opposed, say nay. Please, the rest of the public, we welcome you to leave. And we.
You want us to leave?
Yes, sir, for a closed session. We have returned. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the SASAA contract. That-
Support Miller.
Support Miller. Motion
Motion
you
Miller.
can still support it. Who?
I can support Jenny.
Without discussion, I think we've already had the discussion. So all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Great, 6-0. Thank you very much. SASAA has a contract now. Thank you very much. I would like to, where's my script? I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn the regular Board of Education meeting of tonight at 9:47, let's say 9:48.
I will entertain that, E-Step.
E-Step and Gerby, all right. So far, nobody's voted no yet. Surprised me. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ha. Thank you. Meeting adjourned.
Run, Kara, run!
Oh my gosh, she was up for something or?
It's her birthday.